Hello, good morning. Welcome to a bright start to the week. We're in the month of June. We're edging towards the end of it. And we're always excited to be here to serve you the best breakfast on television. Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 TV. I am Nana Tufo Boateng. The week is starting not so hot, not so cold, favorable weather. We like it. But unfortunately, tragedy struck in the somewhere in Laura, the Laura Senior High School, where 7 lives have been lost. Now, we understand that this is a cadet ritual that the students who belong to the cadet corps embark on occasionally. And what it is that they embark on a morning jogging exercise, and then they go to the riverbank and back. That's the Black Volta. However, tragedy struck when these group of students decided to deviate from the normal routine and to cross the river to the Burkina side and back. We're being told that they met a Burkinabe canoe operator whom they convinced to have them join the canoe to cross to the other side. However, this boat was not built to carry that number or that many number of people, and unfortunately capsized en route. 3 students, we understand, were able to swim ashore, but 7 of them unfortunately lost their lives. 5 bodies earlier retrieved. Yesterday morning, we had confirmation that the final 2 or the remaining 2 have also been retrieved, bringing a 24-hour rescue operation to an end. Our deepest condolences, our heartfelt condolences, goes out to the families of these students. But we understand that this is not the first time this is happening. History has repeated itself, as somewhere in 2008, a student on a geography excursion from same school lost their life on the same river. And so it raises the concern of oversight, supervised activities. And as a parent, you should be interested in what group or association your child is a member of while in school. And of course, for the authorities, like I said, greater oversight, greater supervision, greater monitoring, There should be room for supervised activities among student groups, but we should not leave them on their own, because clearly this is an unsupervised activity, this particular ritual that has led to the unfortunate demise of these 7 students. Lives that otherwise would have benefited the country have been lost. Families have been denied the joy of watching their children grow. And so it's important that we increase our oversight. And then, of course, we restrict some of the activities of students on campus. We need to pay closer attention to what our students engage in while on campus. This is a very sad situation, and we hope that the investigations, as has been ordered by the Ministry of Education, will see to the fruition of or bring some conclusion in order for the families to get some level of closure. But once again, our deepest condolences to the families of the deceased students. Anyway, the Agri Fair is coming. It's this weekend. We're excited. We hope that you are too. It's happening from the 20th to the 22nd of June 2025. And we're looking forward to seeing you there. Promises to give you a platform to access and, of course, witness farm produce like you have never seen before. Fresh farm produce straight from the farm to the Agri Fair. And so it's from the farm to your table. Come with your wallets loaded and come shop some fresh farm produce. We'll be dealing in crops, fruits, veggies, legumes, grains, and then we'll do some livestock, your goats, your cattle, your sheep, your pork, your rabbits. We'll bring you some poultry products as well. So your live birds, your chicken, your turkey, your eggs, they're all going to be available at the Agri Fair. Also importantly, will be agri inputs, agri machinery. And so we'd like for you to join us at the Agri Fair. It's happening at the Fuwa Sutherland Children's Park here in Accra from the 20th to the 22nd of June. We say it's from farm to table. For those who want to close out their registrations, we urge you to call and make payments now. The number to call is 0205 973 973. 0205 973 973. If you have called and made reservations, you need to follow up with your payment now. It's quite important because it's the payment that secures you a slot at the Agri Fair 2025 and not just the reservations. So please follow up with your payments. Do that now. It's quite important. And then let's secure a slot for you. Which slots, I must say, are fast running out. And so please do your best to secure one now. The Agri Fair is brought to you by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 City FM, and is proudly sponsored by the Exim Bank Ghana, Legacy Crop Improvement Center LCIC, Development Bank Ghana DBG, Agri Impact Group, Technology Partners Farmer Line, and then we have Horticulture Business Platform. I want to say thank you to all our sponsors for coming on board to support the Agri Fair, which promises you a one-stop shop for all your agri produce, fresh, just as you like them. All right, now let's tell you about the City Business Festival. The City Business Festival is happening throughout the entire month of June, and so from day one, we've been bringing you on-air programming, on-air activities, spanning your personal financing, investment growth, agri sector development, you just name it. We'll have industry experts speaking to specific topics carefully selected to help you grow your business, help you establish a business, help you nurture your business. And so we entreat you to stay with us throughout the entire month of June for the City Business Festival. The on-air series or on-air programming live at 9 a.m. on 97.3 City FM, as well as on Channel 1 television. So stay tuned here with us, and then of course you can tune into radio 97.3 City FM while at it, so you can get these nuggets for your business growth, your business development. Also, be on the lookout for our outdoor events as well. Last week we had one. We had a forum under the City Business Festival on, of course, the impact and importance of the U.S. trade tariffs and what it means to us as a country and, of course, as a growing economy. So that forum has been held. It happened at the Northridge Alisa Hotels, and we entreat you to be on the lookout for a similar fora, which will be happening as part of the City Business Festival. There's a boot camp coming ahead, a management boot camp. Be on the lookout for details of that as well. But stay with us on air, 97.3 City FM, as well as Channel 1 TV for our on-air series, which brings you insights, nuggets, wisdom, knowledge, and of course expertise regarding your business, its establishment, its growth, and of course being competitive out there. I want to say thank you to ABSA Bank for being a part of the City Business Festival. Thank you to MTN Business for being a part of the City Business Festival, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited. Thank you so much for sponsoring the City Business Festival. Let's get into the newspapers this morning. Let's look at what stories are making the front pages of the various dailies. I'll start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page says, State media eye financial relief. Minister appeals to Parliament for tax exemptions. State media eye financial relief. Minister appeals to Parliament for tax exemptions. Junior graphic essay workshops take off. Zoom Lion clarifies status of YEA contract. Zoom Lion clarifies status of YEA contract. Professor Amma proposes 5 elements to tackle galamsey. Professor Amma proposes 5 elements to tackle galamsey. That's on the front page. And when you jump to the back page, it's a big one for Asante Kotoko Sporting Club, who have won the MTN FA Cup in last gasp drama. Kotoko win MTN FA Cup in last gasp drama. I understand there was a last-minute penalty that awarded Kotoko the victory over Golden Cake, securing them a 10th title, the 10th time Kotoko is winning the MTN FA Cup, and this also guarantees them a spot in on the continental front as they will be participating in CAF games. So kudos to Asante Kotoko SC. Now let's take you to the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The front page of the Ghanaian Times is heavy on the issue I raised earlier, and it says Black Volta tragedy. 7 Laura's SHS students drown. 5 bodies retrieved, 2 missing. Okay, the update is that all 7 bodies have been retrieved. I'm sure by the time the paper went to press, the final 2 or the remaining 2 had not yet been confirmed. But now we have confirmation that all 7 bodies have been retrieved. 1 cedi fuel levy suspended. 1 cedi fuel levy suspended. Zoom Lion clarifies status of YEA contract, reaffirms commitment to transparency. Zoom Lion clarifies status of YEA contract, reaffirms commitment to transparency. Appeals Court orders NHC to re-enter Boni Taki Adama Lache II in register. Appeals Court orders National House of Chiefs to re-enter Boni Taki Adama Lache II in register. And then you have nurses, midwives suspend strike. When you go to the back page, same. Similar stories in the world of sport as Kotoko overcome Golden Cake scare to win MTN FA Cup. And then you have Gold Stars crown 2024-2025 GPL champions. So that's the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's take you to the Daily Guide. Daily Guide says, top ex-NSA officials hot over 548 million cedi thefts. Top ex-National Service Authority officials hot over 548 million cedi theft. 7 Laura SHS students drown in Dikpe River. Well, we know it's the Black Volta. 7 Laura SHS students drown in Dikpe River. GRA freezes Dumso levy. GRA freezes Dumso levy. Ghana not immune to global challenges. Ghana not immune to global challenges. That's it for the Daily Guide newspaper. Let's check out the Chronicle newspaper. What's the Chronicle saying? Chronicle is heavy on the Zoom Lion matter. Says Zoom Lion, YEA contract expired, not cancelled. YEA contract expired, not cancelled. How alleged criminal enterprise looted 548 million cedis from NSA. How alleged criminal enterprise looted 548 million cedis from NSA. Then you have Dumso levy. JM has beaten a shameful retreat. That's the minority speaking. Dumso levy. JM has beaten a shameful retreat. Our scripture for the day is from the book of Psalms 119, Psalm 119, verse 130. The unfolding of your words gives light. It imparts understanding to the simple. The unfolding of your words gives light. It imparts understanding to the simple. Psalm 119, 130. Thanks be to God. The News Center newspaper is here. Front page says, bodies of 7 drowned Laura SHS students retrieved. Bodies of 7 drowned Laura SHS students retrieved. Parliament to vet Supreme Court nominees today. Parliament to vet Supreme Court nominees today. Stay with us here on Channel 1 Television. We'll be bringing you those proceedings from the Appointments Committee sitting, as the committee sits today to vet the president's nominees. We know that 7 appeals court judges have been nominated to the Supreme Court. Parliament will begin the vetting of these nominees today. It's expected to end on Wednesday. We will be live at the Appointments Committee sitting to bring you details of that vetting session. So stay with us here on Channel 1 Television. All right. In other stories on the front page of the News Center, oil price surge from Israel-Iran war halts Dumsor levy, and that is attributed to the government. Oil price surge from Israel-Iran war halts Dumsor levy. Zoomlion backs presidential audit and reforms. Zoomlion backs presidential audit and reforms. Fidelity Bank posts 1.21 billion cedis profit before tax with 2.34 billion cedis operating income in 2024. And then you have illegal Ghanaians in US and Dreamers quiz visa ban threats. Illegal Ghanaians in US, Dreamers quiz visa ban threats. That's the front page of the News Center newspaper. The Ghanaian publisher, YEA contract expired, Zoomlion clarifies. YEA contract expired, Zoomlion clarifies. Israel-Iran conflict, Mahama fears spike in oil prices. Israel-Iran conflict, Mahama fears spike in oil prices. Minority slams Dumsor levy U-turn. Minority slams Dumsor levy U-turn. KGL NLA partnership best for lottery sector. And that's the front page of the Ghanaian publisher. And so from one publisher, we move to another publisher, this time the new publisher, which front page says, cancel your Dumsor tax. Minority tells government. Cancel your Dumsor tax. Minority tells government. NLA will fail without KGL. NLA will fail without KGL. Japan Motors again. Another angry customer accuses Japan Motors of destroying his car, threatens court suit. Okay, that's the front page of the new publisher. Let's get into the world of business and start off with the Economy Times, which says, Economy Times, I'm reading from, debt securities in Ghana now to be given investment ratings. Debt securities in Ghana now to be given investment ratings. 1 cedi fuel levy is key to Ghana's fiscal recovery. That's the IMF speaking. Says 1 cedi fuel levy is key to Ghana's fiscal recovery. Collateral registry framework to be reviewed to conform to changing credit dynamics. Collateral registry framework to be reviewed to conform to changing credit dynamics. That's the Economy Times newspaper. We'll wrap it up with the Business and Financial Times, BNFT. GACS overhaul underway as GSC plans specialized fund for SMEs. GACS overhaul underway as GSC plans specialized fund for SMEs rather. Now in governance, African governance leaders convene in Accra to address challenges. African governance leaders convene in Accra to address challenges. EcoBank pledges support for government's 24-hour economy. IFC affirms commitment to financial sector. GSA cement producers work to reflect CD gains in pricing. GSA and cement producers work to reflect CD gains in pricing. Zoomlion clarifies status of YEA contract amidst circulating information. Zoomlion clarifies status of YEA contract amidst circulating information. That's the front page of the Business and Financial Times newspaper. I want to take you online quickly and bring you some stories from our web portals. I'll start off with citynewsroom.com. Citynewsroom.com says, fuel prices to remain stable despite Israel-Iran war. And that's attributed to COMAC. That's the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. Says fuel prices to remain stable despite Israel-Iran war. In some other stories, government to deploy drip machines for nationwide farm road construction. Government to deploy drip machines for nationwide farm road construction. And this is the Agri Minister speaking there. Jean Mensah to appear before Parliament over Blekuma North election dispute. We know that Blekuma North has been without parliamentary representation since the December 7 general elections, owing to the fact that there's some confusion over the collation of some results of some polling stations. We hear there's 6 polling stations still outstanding. The minority petitioned the Inspector General of Police somewhere last week to provide protection for the Electoral Commission to be able to complete the recollation exercise and make a declaration on who actually the winner of the Ablekuma North seat is. However, that is yet to happen. We're being told that the chairperson for the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, has been summoned by Parliament, and she's to appear before the House to give some updates or some details regarding the non-declaration of the Ablekuma North parliamentary results. We'll be following up on that as well to bring you details regarding that matter. Now let's take you to Akwetia, where contempt case against Ernest Kumi still holds, and that's according to the NDC. We know that the Supreme Court quashed the conviction or the contempt conviction of Ernest Kumi by High Court, and the NDC insists that this case still holds, and so we'll be looking into that as well. Oil prices. Ghana could face tough times if Iran-Israel conflict deepens. That's Collins Adomaku speaking. He's a former deputy energy minister and NPP member of parliament. He is on the energy committee of parliament as well, and he was speaking on the Channel 1 newsroom last night, and he says Ghana could face tough times if Iran-Israel conflict deepens, and this is in respect to oil prices. All right. Convert abandoned housing project to business hub. Ganoth urges government. And then you have a minority threatens legal action over unratified Damai mine lease. Minority threatens legal action over unratified Damai mine lease. Forget fuel levy implementation and reform ECG. Renegotiate IPP's contracts. Collins Adomako to government. Kaswa floods. Man drowns in open gutter amid downpour. YEA contract expired, wasn't cancelled. Zoom Lion breaks silence. And then you have government committed to establishing medical school in Upper East region. Let's bring you some stories from channel1news.com. Channel1news.com. Jean Mensah to brief Parliament on Ablekuma North election stalemate. And that's what I was espousing earlier. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission is expected to brief Parliament on the Ablekuma North election stalemate. Government to explore new energy funding sources after fuel levy suspension. Government to explore new energy funding sources after fuel levy suspension. NDC defends Akwetia election petition, rejects call to move on. NDC defends Akwetia election petition, rejects call to move on. Government's reason for fuel levy postponement laughable. That's Collins Adomaku speaking again. Let's hear from him again, where he says, don't overburden Ghanaians with more taxes in respect to the fuel levy. Zoom Lion clarifies expiration of YEA contract, backs competitive bidding. Zoom Lion clarifies expiration of YEA contract, backs competitive bidding. Kaswa tragedy. Man drowns in flooded gutter at Iron City. Quite a sad one. Man drowns in flooded gutter at Iron City, which is located in Kaswa. Education Ministry orders probe into Laura SHS tragedy. Education Ministry orders probe into Laura SHS tragedy. Still on the Laura SHS tragedy, final 2 bodies found, death toll now 7. May their souls rest in peace, and condolences to the bereaved families. Lordina celebrates Mahama on Father's Day. Minority condemns postponement of energy sector levy, demands immediate repeal. Free SHS inclusion won't be compulsory. That's a private school speaking. And Israel-Iran tensions, Ghana can't remain global observer. That's attributed to the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC Ghana. Stay with us here on Channel 1 Television. The program is Breakfast Daily. When we come back, we get into the news review segment with our guest, and we'll bring you perspectives to some topical issues making the rounds within the media space. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
AgriFair 2025 is almost here. The much anticipated AgriFair 2025 is just around the corner, happening from the 20th to the 22nd of June at the A4 Sutherland Children's Park in Accra. Get ready for a fun, educative, and exciting experience as we bring together the very best in agriculture, food, innovation, and entertainment all in one place. Exhibitors, if you have registered, it's time to pay and secure your spot before it's too late. Don't miss this opportunity to showcase your product to thousands of attendees. Call 0205-973-973 now to make your payment and lock in your space at Ghana's biggest agri event. Come and enjoy the freshest farm produce at unbeatable prices and treat yourself to sizzling kebabs made from beef, mutton, pork, chicken, and more. Don't miss this. See you there. The AgriFair 2025, where culture meets innovation. The AgriFair 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 CDFM and is proudly sponsored by the Ghana Exim Bank, Legacy Crop Improvement Center, Development Bank Ghana, Agri Impact Limited, the Horticulture Business Platform, and Twillium Ghana Limited. Our technology partner is Farmerline.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked, welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Umaru Sanda Amadou as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boko has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yendi, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Sanda Amadou airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensah.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensah.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Hello, grateful that you could join us. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 Television. I am Nanatufo Boateng. It's time now for the news review segment where we get to have a conversation on some of the topical issues dominating the media space or the news cycle, if you like. This morning joining me in studio, we have Elvis Dakon. He's the editor of the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com. Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
To see you. We have Ibrahim Ajay as well, a former Assistant Secretary, Office of the former President of the Republic. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning, Nana.
Good to have you as well. I'm good.
Very well.
I'm good. Okay, so it's safe to say belated Happy Father's Day, right?
Yes.
they never talk about us.
But Nana, I have this thing. You're never too late.
Right.
To wish somebody well.
Exactly.
You can never be. It never expires.
Yeah, it never expires.
So you're on time.
Very well.
Yeah.
Grateful. But how come they never talk about us?
Who
There's so much noise about the Father's Day.
They do.
No, who should talk
The
about
women, they should talk about us.
Why should the women talk about you? Did they prevent you from talking about yourself? Have the women prevented men from talking about themselves?
No, but you see, the thing is about we can't make as much noise as they can.
This is the problem. You see, where is Mother's Day? You are the men. You the men are the one who make the noise. But when it's your turn, you don't make noise. You say woman should come and make noise for you.
Well, since we made
woman
for them.
didn't force you to come and make noise when it was Mother's Day.
Is it?
It's you who found the importance of a woman.
Right.
And then you made noise.
Okay.
So
the
men
way
must
you are
learn-
going,
Men must. You cannot.
the
say
woman will be
somebody should
excited
tell
with all
your-
this morning.
Yeah, you should let somebody to come and tell your good story for you. Tell your good story. Men can tell a lot of stories about themselves. But because men think that, somebody have to sing their praises for them. See, naturally you have to understand. That's how it's supposed to be.
one of those
Yeah,
stories.
men must tell the story of a woman. If we want our stories to be told, we should learn how to tell the stories ourselves, okay? Men forget that, see, when children are born, okay? Children from birth have a connection with their mother from the beginning. Because they slept in the mother's stomach for 9 months.
Exactly.
So they have a direct connection.
Yeah.
The man thinks that my duty is to provide for the house. So he's so busy trying to provide for the house.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we find it difficult to build that relationship between us and the kids.
children. Yeah.
We don't really make that quality time to spend with the kid for them to know that despite our busy schedules, we also love them just like their mothers do. And as a result of that, most children will have an affection for their parents because, first of all, aside sleeping in their mother's stomach for 9 months, with a direct connection, they suck their mother's breast.
Yeah.
And then when you go do all the hard work and they say, it's time for school fees, you give the money to the woman in the bedroom. Tomorrow, go and pay the school fees.
Right.
So in the morning, you carry the children to school to go and pay the school fees. When I say, buy a new dress, so take the money, I'm busy. You have given the money when the children are not there. You are gone.
Yeah.
You took the children to the market and buy the things for them. The children are seeing that their mother is the one that's provided everything, not you.
Yeah.
Can't you make time and take your children to school and pay the school fees for them to know that you are the one paying? Can't you make time to take your children to the market to shop for them? Daddy takes us for shopping. So see, men focus on providing for the house and forget that there are little things that we need to do for our children to see that our daddies also care about us.
True.
The woman is the one preparing the food that they are eating every day.
True.
The woman is the one that is waking up and preparing them for school. Basically, most men, our focus is that I must be interested in where I'll go and get the daily, which is very good. But as if you focus so much on that, and you don't create
that connection
between you and the kids. When it is Mother's Day, the kids will all be interested in celebrating their mother because they have that affection. When it is Father's Day, because you are always waking up at dawn, going and coming, and they don't see you taking them to go and buy things for them in the market. You are not the one paying school fees. You are not the one bathing them and taking them to school and the rest. That affection that you have for their mother may not be there for you.
Exactly.
So the noise about Mother's Day is not always about because they are mad. Sometimes you are crying, but on Mother's Day, you celebrate your mother because of the affection you have with your mother. But when it's Father's Day, because that connection is not there, you yourself don't have that feeling of celebrating your father. So if it happens and you are complaining that we are the problem.
We should start a new show. Boys with Anyways, let's get into our business of the day. We want to go to the U.S. Briefly because Donald Trump is considering adding Ghana and 35 others to a travel ban list. I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. The United States is considering restricting entry to citizens of an additional 36 countries in what would be a significant expansion of the travel ban announced by the Trump administration early this month, according to a State Department memo reviewed by the Washington Post. Among the new list of countries that could face visa bans or other restrictions are 25 African nations, including significant U.S. partners such as Egypt and Djibouti, plus countries in the Caribbean, Central Asia, and several Pacific Island nations. A State Department spokesperson said the agency would not comment on internal deliberations or communications. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Obviously, I'll start with you. I've seen that you've carried a story on this, and especially those living in the States illegally and what it means for them. Clearly, there's a danger ahead.
Well, I don't know how you describe danger ahead.
We
say we are all sovereign countries. The sovereign countries do things that are in the interest of their country.
Yeah.
I've been searching and I found some of the reasons why they are adding these status as countries. At least we have 60 days to meet their demands.
Right.
And per additional information that I have seen, they have submitted or have had discussions with countries based on what they expect each country or why they want to put them on the ban.
Yeah.
So as I'm sitting, I'm sure in my mind that the Foreign Affairs Minister knows exactly why we are being added to that list.
Yeah.
Some of the issues that they have, the memo says they are calling for immediate to address shortcomings in border control data and vetting systems or risk-facing visa restrictions or outright bans. Some of the concerns are lack of a competent or cooperative government by some of the countries listed to produce reliable identity documents. Do you know what that means? I'll come back to them. Some countries are not cooperative in facilitating the removal of its nationals from the United States who are ordered to be removed.
Right.
Nationals of the countries were involved in acts of terrorism in the United States or anti-Semitism and anti-American activities. The Department of State is committed to protecting their nation and its citizens. So let me come to the first one that I mentioned, lack of a competent or cooperative government by some of the countries listed to produce reliable identity documents.
Right.
The first ban that came, the U.S. government released a long list of countries and the number of their citizens that are on ICE lists for deportation.
Right.
In that list, the number of Ghanaians on that list to be deported is 3,228.
You don't say.
Yeah. The ICE list, as at the beginning of the year, in January when the U.S. released it, 3,228 Ghanaians are on the ICE list to be deported. What this means is that there's people that are to be deported. Most of them, or many of them, have thrown away documentation as to who they are. But because they entered the country with visas and the rest, the U.S. knows which countries' passports they use to enter the country.
Right.
So they are able to determine that these are the people who entered the U.S. with Ghanaian passports. So they are Ghanaians.
Right.
Because a passport is issued to only citizens of a country. So if they are on ICE list and they are to be deported, they need documents that will enable them to travel back to Ghana. These documents are to be issued by Ghana to them because their passports are either expired or some of them don't actually have. But because they have their data, because they control their visa system, they know that this person came in with a Ghanaian passport. So they ask countries that produce document, what you call a travel document, either passport or travel document, for these people so that they can be deported back to the countries they came from, per their passport of travel. What this means is that Ghana is supposed to produce documents for these 3,288 people. The suspicion I have is that Ghana is refusing to produce the documents for these people to enable America to deport them. Because as a country, we also have the right to say we will not provide a document.
Right.
And by the UN convention, you can't deport anybody without a travel document. You can't send anybody to a country without a travel document. It's not a travel document to determine which specific country the person is being sent to. So if Ghana refuses to provide the people documentation, what it means is that the U.S. can't deport them. So the people are remaining in the ICE detention and becoming crisis for the country. And I believe that is one reason why Ghana is on that list. I believe this is why we are on the list. And see, people will give the excuse that but many of those people may not be Ghanaians. The American doesn't know who is a Ghanaian or who is not a Ghanaian. Once you travel in Ghanaian passport, you are a Ghanaian. So if our passport system is so weak for nationals of other countries to access it and travel with it, The American doesn't know who is a Ghanaian, Burkinabe, Nigeria, or anything. What he knows is that you entered with a passport of Ghana. And passports are issued to citizens of the country. Only citizens of the country use a passport. So for them, it's the passport the person has entered the country with. So if the person entered America with a Ghanaian passport, whether it's another national who has come for Ghanaian passport, the U.S. can only deport that person to Ghana, because of that. And because the person's passport is expired, or the person has thrown it away, though their system show that the person came in with a Ghanaian passport, the person cannot return to Ghana without any paper in hand. So Ghana government will be required to the foreign ministry, and the embassies in the U.S. to provide these people with the necessary documentation, either a new passport or what they call a travel document to bring them back. And I believe Ghana is not doing this. That is why they are adding this to the travel ban.
Very well.
The second one is about the anti-Semitism and anti-American activities and terrorism. I don't believe that Ghana is being added to this terrorism, but I believe that anti-Semitism will may be added. What they call anti-Semitism is there are groups in the U.S. that have been put on U.S. national security list as groups that are doing everything possible to make America unstable. They said the intention of these groups in the U.S. is to turn U.S. into a chaotic state. That is what the Security Institute of America have identified. And there are several groups that have identified. These groups most of the times are found participating in demonstrations. And they believe that those demonstrations are meant to destabilize the U.S. So for instance, when the Palestinian-Israeli war was going on, there were a lot of demonstrations on student school campuses in the U.S. We have 9,394 Ghanaians studying in various universities in the U.S. So in the event that any of these students participated in those demonstrations on university campuses, which the American government has described as anti-Semitism actions, because they believe that those organizing those demonstrations across university campuses are the very groups that they have labeled as anti-Semitism groups who wants to destabilize the US. America. So if a Ghanaian participated in this demonstration, what it will mean is that the person is part of the group that wants to destabilize America. You see, the demonstration will be the one everybody knows, but the security apparatus of the US, they know why people are doing this. So a Ghanaian student may innocently think that, oh, maybe I support the cause of the reason for this demonstration and participate in it. But then they don't know that there are undertones in it. And for participating in that demonstration, the Ghanaian students may be deemed as part of those who are trying to destabilize America. I have no information whether some Ghanaian students participated, but I'm saying that in terms of the anti-Semitism, in case any Ghanaian student took part in some of these demonstrations on school campuses, then they will be deemed as people who are participating in anti-Semitism. For me, really the reason, I think these are the two main reasons I think America is trying to do, because they want to deport the people who are on ICE lists out of the country.
But they don't know which country to send them to because
no of the issues of documentation. So if Ghana is refusing to provide the documentation to them, then they are bringing the travel ban to force the government of Ghana to provide the documents to be able to deport these people. Between 2021 and 2024, 258 Ghanaians were deported from the U.S. For various offenses such as criminal and other things, or overstay of their documentations. So we should understand that Ghana government needs to also consider some of these things. There are no reliable figures, but it's estimated that we may have between 30 to 50,000 Ghanaians who are living in the U.S. illegally. We have those who are living legally amounting to almost 300,000 in the U.S. currently. But it is expected that, or it's estimated that there are about 30 to 50,000 who are living there illegally. In the U.S., you can live there illegally for 20 years if you don't have problem with the law for them to find out what's your documentation. There are many people who are living in the US who don't have any document. But until you have problem with the law, nobody is going to deal with you. But the Trump administration has brought in further stringent measures until the Trump administration came in and brought in this new demand of wherever you are going, carry your documentation around. It was not there. So you can be in the US for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, and you have no documentation because nobody is going to meet you on the street and ask you of your document. But per the new directive of this Trump administration, for people to carry their documentation, law means that if you are met in town, any immigration official can ask you your citizenship or your document, whether you are legal in the US.
Thank you, Elvis. Ibrahim, let me come to you. So basically, I mean, the reasons will fall under three main categories. Lack of cooperation in deportations, security concerns, diplomatic friction. So it's time for, I mean, not even time as far as it's long overdue. That's the ministry engages properly so that whatever list it is, if we want to be taken off, we do our best to engage properly because the reasons have now been listed, so we know what it is.
Well, when you say want to be taken off, we're not officially there yet. We're being considered.
Exactly.
So let's frame it in the reality. Ghana is not on the list.
On the list.
It is among 36 other countries
that are being considered for placement.
As it is, hence
in the next 60 days.
60 days.
60 days to comply. The fact that you comply or don't comply doesn't mean you will be then automatically on the list.
No, but per the communication, if you don't comply,
sure,
you automatically on the list.
I understand. But let's...
So time is of the essence.
Sure, but let's situate it properly. Because you're saying that time is long overdue. The thing came out only last week.
Yes,
so
but I'm sure these engagements have been ongoing.
No, that is what the statement said, that they've been engaging for a long time.
Exactly.
A long time being what? 6 months?
Yes.
Well, since
he's been in power since January 20th, am I right? So when we say long time, let's be factual. If we say long time, we throw it out in the air as if it's rooted in fact. Give me your proof that they've been engaging since January. I don't believe that on January the 20th, when President Trump was inaugurated, that was the first thing on his agenda. Yes, he mentioned it during the campaign, but let's understand the reality. If they've now been engaging, and remember, the first countries they did were the 12, Afghanistan and some other countries, Cuba, am I right? Yes. So let's understand. I'm not trying to dilute the question, but I want us to frame it properly. As if, hey, Charlie, we've been sitting down, not doing anything. When were we given notice? Then you say, but they've been having backroom discussions. When? Right. We talk as if we know the fact. The State Department
letter doesn't say, or the memo doesn't say exactly when.
I would imagine maybe around March or thereabouts. Why do I say so? Because you can situate the declaration of the 12 countries, Afghanistan, Iran, Cuba, and other countries, that only came on June the 12th. But anyway, to your issue that we want to talk about. Yes, I mean, it's for Ghana to do the necessary to fulfill the obligations that another sovereign country wants in terms of entry permits. It happens over the whole world. Likewise, other visitors to Ghana have to fulfill certain immigration requirements.
True.
I don't see anything wrong in it at all. Maybe because it's President Trump, we're looking at it differently. But every country has that sovereign right to say that for X, Y, and Z, we want you to come legally. Remember 3 weeks ago, we were on this program, and we were talking about the Nigerians, not Nigerians, Nigerians, who we rounded up and deported. Am I right?
True.
And I said that we have nothing against Nigerians, but come via the proper routes, apply properly, then we won't round you up and send you. Because Ghana is known for being hospitable. So if we are doing it to Nigerians, why should we suddenly play double standards when America says it wants us to follow certain rules? Nobody should have any issue with this. You may say that it's discriminatory. Yes, there's arguments for that because it's largely the global south. There may be other countries in the, the Far East, who may not be, who may be on par with what they think is missing in Ghana, in Togo and other countries. And beyond being compliant, one of the main reasons that those who are on J visas, and I think B1 visas, are overstaying. And they've given you the percentages. So again, understand that when you're a Ghanaian and you go to another country, you are an ambassador for Ghana. How you behave or misbehave will reflect upon everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have to understand you're an ambassador. When you overstay and you think you've done the system or you've cheated the system, you're cheating the rest of us who also want that same
Exactly. You are denying someone else an opportunity.
You're denying. So work with the law. And what Ghanaians generally need to understand, just like with any national who travels abroad,
right?
When you comply with the rules, you're given 6 months. Go and stay, 1 year, go and stay, come back. When you reapply, the chances of you being accepted are extraordinarily higher.
Yeah.
Maybe 90-95%. I'm just plugging a figure out of my head. Because you show that when we allow you to visit, you visit and come back. So when you reapply again, you'll get it. Inshallah, maybe you'll even get a multiple visa. So these are some of the lessons that we, as Ghanaians, nationals generally, need to abide by. But the story of America is somewhat a tragedy. And I'll explain why. You have the Choctaw, the Apache, the Sioux, the Delaware. When you hear the word Delaware, it's not a state, it's an American native tribe. Okay? Then you have the Cherokee. I mean, there are hundreds of tribes who were, if you will, ethnically cleansed by the Europeans. And today, you have the gall, the audacity to tell the indigenes, and generally the ICE that Elvis mentioned, they're going for the Mexicans, the Venezuelans, the Hondurans, you know, I'm talking the natives, not the Spanish who are now, you know, let's say naturalized citizens. I'm talking the indigenous, you know, Navajos, you know, the Mayan, you know, all that area, Machu Picchu and co, you know, the Aztec people, the people of the Aztec ancestry, as in Mexico. How the tragedy of America is that these Europeans, having killed you, murdered you, raped you, taken over your land by force, are now telling you that you can't come back into your own ancestral homes. That's the tragedy of America. But God is God, inshallah. You know, the majority of, I think, Americans don't think the way this Trump administration is thinking. You know, very xenophobic in part. Trump has his good points, you know, and I like him for so many things. But because you like somebody for so many things doesn't mean you have to accept the other thing as well. Be truthful, you know, and there'll be politicians and diplomats who will play that card. They don't want to offend. Trump doesn't mind offending you. Give it back to him. And tell him exactly how you feel. 12 countries have so far reciprocated and banning Americans before they had visa-free travel to those countries. But now Americans have to apply for
a visa.
Yeah, it's not a ban on America, but go through the same process. Because America, as I said, they have every right to say we want some decorum, some order, so that we know that those who are coming are following certain rules and regulations. But that is a tragedy of America. We pray that in time, those whose land, and in this one I include Canada, sometimes you talk of America as if that's where only the native American, when I say the native tribes, they're not Americans. America is named after a Portuguese called Amerigo. It was not discovered, but we hear the stories of how the Vikings in time also sojourned there, like the way Christopher Columbus did. He sojourned there, again, funded by Queen Isabella, okay? So let's say it was sojourned by Christopher Columbus, from where you get the name DC, District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., Christopher Columbus, named by Vespuccio Amerigo, a Portuguese. So when we say Native Americans, I beg you, sometimes the nomenclature have to, the indigenous tribes of America and their descendants, who you find everywhere within the South American continental area, have absolute right to be in those countries. Absolute right. Absolute right. I mean, you have an inherent right, a God-given right, that where your umbilical cord was cut, that land belongs to you. It's not in my mouth to now rephrase history. But moving forward, this is what I think right-minded people, and by that I mean the European Americans, African Americans, okay, South American natives, who really have a title, historically, spiritually, to those lands, can work together to somehow disabuse the minds of the xenophobes in America that this land is theirs. It's never your land. You are squatters. They should understand that. And you're squatters by conquest and theft and killing and marauding and raping and murdering. All those things were visited upon the indigenous tribes of America and Canada, the Inuits.
Right.
So that's this tragedy. When I read this and I'm thinking, can you imagine somebody coming to Africa and then deporting all of us, slave trade notwithstanding, and saying, you, Nana, you can't come back to your country because you are not the African enough.
Yeah.
So wherever you came from, maybe now you're living in Southeast Asia, because you've been historically deported from your land. And then a European comes now, is now in your continent, telling you can't come because your papers aren't correct.
Right.
It's a tragedy. But I believe that I don't want the tragedy to be somehow defined by Trump's era now.
Right.
Because America has a good story to tell. You know, the land of the free and brave, am I right?
Yeah.
America has given so much to the world, which is why the world gravitates to it.
Yeah.
And let's understand that it became a melting pot, or some would say a salad, of humanity working. When you go to New York, I've been to New York several times, and when you see how people interact, it's just beautiful to see that cornucopia, the world in one place. Take out the racism out of it and understand that when we work together, humanity can build something great. And America is a great country.
Very well.
And it's for, as I say, this too shall pass. Administrations will come. And as new administrations come, hopefully we can correct some of the excesses of President Trump's current administration regarding immigration. Other areas of his policy, I'm supporting him. He's very good.
Great, thank you. Let's move on. Let's come back home. Last week, the Attorney General held a press conference giving updates on the oral committee and its work so far, centered on the National Service Authority scandal. And I'll read a story here from channel1news.com, which says Oware Mensah used National Service allowances to obtain 30.6 million Ghana cedis loan from ADB. That's attributed to Dominic Ayene. Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayene, has disclosed that Gifty Oware Mensah, former Deputy Executive Director of the National Service Authority, NSA, masterminded a fraudulent scheme that led to the misappropriation of over 30 million cedis in public funds. Addressing a press conference in Accra on Friday, June 13, Dr. Ayene said the findings are part of ongoing investigations by the Operation Recover All Loot Oral Task Force into financial malfeasance at the NSA. According to the Attorney General, Oware Mensah exploited the National Service Personnel (NSP) allowance system by using it as a security to secure a 30,698,218 cedis, 69 pesos million loan from the Agricultural Development Bank (ADB) at a 23% interest rate. We understand that the state lost a quantum of money owing to this scandal. The Attorney General calls it a criminal enterprise that masterminded this entire thing. Some names have been put out. We await the charges that will be preferred against them. But I'll start with you, Elvis. Were you surprised or alarmed to hear the way the Attorney General put it, this enterprise, their operations, and the figures in there? Did this come out as a surprise to you?
When people are given access to public office, it's not for them to go and embezzle public funds. When a party wins power, I always say that NDC and MPP, when they win power, you can find 100,000 well-qualified people to hold positions in government. But appointments will not even exceed 2,000. So when you are among the privileged, given the opportunity to serve in public office, you are there to protect the public purse and make sure that the nation makes progress. So for me, if any public official is found guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction through due process to have misapplied public money, I have no sympathy for that person. Okay. Ghana law says you are what? Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
The Attorney General who knows this said that has already convicted people by saying that it's a criminal enterprise. Because it's making pronouncement.
Yeah.
I think if something is a criminal enterprise, it's a suspicion. And I think the Attorney General should be mindful of his words, because if you say it's a suspicion, you are investigating. But if you make the pronouncement it's a criminal enterprise, it means that you already determined the fate of the people, you already determined the case. But I think that pronouncement doesn't lie in the mouth of the Attorney General. That pronouncement only lies in the mouth of the court.
The courts.
So I think that the Attorney General is being carried away by the public support, party support and all that. I believe that an Attorney General should not be speaking the way he speaks. I think that the caution should be there. We are journalists, and when we write such story, we are told that we should say allege, we say suspicion, we say accused. We don't make categorical statements as though the person has been found guilty by a court. And that is why I have said that this public press conferences by the Attorney General, if you ask me, it is needless. We need the pronouncements to be made by court, then we can work with it.
Because you don't think you should be giving updates on the cases they are looking into?
Why should you give me an update? What do I need an update for? I need a court to make pronouncement for me to know what you presented to the court is factual or not. You can make allegations against people. States have done investigation against people and they have gone to court and the state lost the cases badly. So the fact that the state says I found A, B, C, D does not mean that I should take it hook, line, and sinker. It's when the court make a pronouncement that the evidence presented by the state against Mr. A or Madam B has been found to be strong enough to convict the person. Then when I'm discussing the issues from that perspective, then I'm discussing something that the court said they found to be what? Good evidence. The fact that you said you have found it does not mean that when you get to the court is going to say that you are right. Because the person that you are making allegation also has a legal team that is supposed to also make their case in court to the judge to make it clear that, oh, we think here is right or wrong. And so for me, in this Fourth Republic, I'm becoming more reserved in terms of discussing such accusations against people. Because I've seen people who accusations have been made against, they go to court, they win the case, but the damage to their reputation, everything remain on the internet and in public minds forever. We were here when Ilan Tebanaba was narrating his story about how he was accused and all the media publication and when they went to the investigation, the state could not even go to court because they have found that there's really nothing. It's not true. But that allegation had been made against him. Media houses carried it. Today, if you Google his name on the internet, it will pop up. It will pop up. But nobody has followed that. The state has not come back to tell the public that the allegation was made against Ilan Tebanaba is false. So anybody who Googles that issue in the next 20 years, I will still think that Niante had done something wrong. And that is why we need to be careful when we are doing that. As I said, if anybody steals public money, I don't have sympathy for the person. The state must deal with the person. But I think the appropriate forum to deal with the person is to carry your case to court. All the things you are going to narrate at the press conference, if they are indeed factual, go to a court. Let the court do the pronouncement. And then when the court make the pronouncement, we will then come and discuss the court pronouncement. Or if the court has found this person guilty on this issue, then this is what we think. But I think we are invited to discuss these issues, and if we are not careful, we'll be making statements and be saying things that will further damage the reputation of the people. And then if tomorrow the person wins the case, we have already destroyed the person. National Service Scheme, this is not the first time people are being accused of doing something or doing things like this at National Service. And you see, I think the Attorney General, he should be, you see, it's a man I like so much. I've never met him before, but I listen to other lawyers talk about him. I look at how he does his work. Until he became Attorney General, I see him as somebody that, but the way he's doing things now, I'm afraid sometimes I'm scared. They ask him about A plus who has been accusing him. He said, oh, they are considering, they are having discussions with him about whether they want to use him as a prosecution witness or something. You are prosecuting a corruption case, the person comes to level direct accusation against you, and now you are saying that you want to consider that person for prosecution with them. How do you expect the public to think? So if you are not come to the public to do all this announcement and had gone to court, and then in the court you're using as prosecutor, there will be no public impugnment of your reputation in this matter. But for you to come and make allegation, and the person comes at you also make allegations against you, and then now you are turning to come and tell us that you are considering the person as public as a what do you think the public who is listening to you to think? Are you not creating the impression for people to suspect?
Because there are those
to suspect that maybe because A+ made allegations against you, that's why you are now thinking you have to use him as a
there are those who argue that this public briefings is important. That is important you update the public and carry them along, because if you do not do so, justice may be procured.
Procured by who? Procured by who? And if it's procured, who said that if the case goes through this public announcement, if justice will be procured, it cannot be procured? Says who? Some of these perceptions people are bringing, that is why the judicial system and everything will have a problem. As I said, the AG himself should be careful, because his own reputation is at stake. Because if you are doing public press conferences, your utterances and things could hurt you. In the dropping of the major cases that they came to meet, one of the things said that he consulted the lawyers of the people being prosecuted. So if I'm being prosecuted, or I have a client being prosecuted, and an AG comes and says, oh, do you think I have to prosecute this person or I should drop the case? Do you think I should tell that continue to prosecute the person? So for him to tell us publicly that he consulted the lawyers of the people being prosecuted, I think that the kind of things he's saying at some of these press conferences, he should sit back, or he need communication people, experts to sit back and be advising him and say, look, what you are doing, you may think you are carrying the public along, but if you are not careful, at the end of the day, the damage you cause to your own reputation as AG, you may never be able to repair it. Because if you tell me that you are dropping major corruption cases being tried before your party came to power, and as part of the processes to drop the case, you consulted lawyers of the people that are being prosecuted. And how do you expect the public who is listening to you to think about you?
The same public has the right to information.
I'm saying that you, the person, say, what do you think them to think about you? The public is not banned from having information. Information goes to the court. Once you file the court, it becomes public information. Yeah. If a journalist is interested, goes to pick the information, want to publish, it can publish. I'm saying that this media trial that are going on, he as an AG himself needs to be very mindful, because the potential damages it could cause to his reputation. I'm pointing two things to him. That you said you were dropping major cases, and as part of the process, you consulted lawyers of the people being prosecuted. Anybody who is sitting back there listening, how can the AG say he has consulted people who have been prosecuted in order to drop a case? In my right sense, if I'm a lawyer defending somebody in court, and AG say, me, I'm a new government, I'm a new AG, I'm new AG, I want to ask you, do you think that I should continue prosecuting your client or not? You expect me to say, I should say no? So that statement itself, if people sit by and begin to analyze it and ask questions, it has some reputational issues for him.
Right.
And for him to also come and say National Service and MP has been involved, the MP has taken a bribe, that was the words he used. And then the person who suspected him came at you and leveled serious corruption allegations against you. And now you are asked, what is the status of the investigation in terms of that MP. And I attend that you are having discussion with the person to see whether you can use him for prosecution witness. And if you come and tell the person who is sitting back that so the person, because the person accused you, now you are thinking of making prosecution witness. Why will you take that decision? Will you take the same decision if the person are not level accusation against
that you are covering up your own?
So you see the reputational damage to himself, based on some of these releases, some of this press conference, I think he needs an expert communication to tell him that, look, AG, focus on your prosecution. If you convict people, Ghanaians will clap for you. We are not going to clap for you today because you are giving a press conference. If we clap for you today and you go to court and lose the case, the damage that you suffer will be bigger than the claps we are giving to you. And I don't believe in situations where you are doing investigations, so you want to be giving people updates and all these press conferences. Look, as I said, if those allegations are found to be true against the people, they are serious allegations. This is public money, and there's no way I will sit here and say somebody misapply public money and I'll come and defend the person. But I think that those people too They are Ghanaians and human beings, and they should be given the right to go to court. And you heard the former sports minister who said people should just ignore whatever they say. And he believes that if you have held public office, you should be ready for accountability. He's ready to go to court to prove himself. Assuming without admitting that he goes to court and indeed wins. Look at all the press conferences, his name being mentioned, and the damage that would have been done to his reputation before going to court. So I think that my advice to the AG, that he himself, his reputation, and the kind of reputation that will come when cases are decided by the court, wherever way it goes, he should rather stick to going to the court, get the convictions, and then we clap for him. But this clap that he's seeking for before going to court, if he's not careful, the turn of events in court could become some. And see, you made a statement about procurement. If you are not careful, your actions could also damage the judiciary. Because if you are come to create the impression to the public as if the person have already been convicted by you, and then they go to court and they win, then that suspicion that you are raising that procure judgment then comes to mind. People say, but the AG made us to believe that the people were guilty. How did the judges clear them? So you also created a reputational crisis for the judiciary. Probably you lost the case genuinely, but because you already made the public to believe that the people are already guilty before going to court, if they go to court and the evidence shows that, well, maybe what you found, there are loopholes, and this is criminal prosecution. With the least doubt, you lose your case. And if it happens that way, it's not only the agent that get damaged, but the judiciary, the judges who will be sitting on this case, who may now look at the evidence and say this person is not guilty, will now be accused of all kinds of things because the agent has already created a platform for that.
Ibrahim, I mean, we'll look at the allegation itself, but then also, I mean, from where Elvis ended. So we'll look at it from that end as well. Whether the AG in his defense insists these disclosures are for transparency and not political reasons. But there are those who argue that it's as though the AG is on a path to convict people in the court of public opinion. Your thoughts on this?
I respectfully disagree.
With which of the arguments?
I disagree that it's to court public opinion. I'm in favor of the transparency that is going on.
Very well.
For us to really succeed as a nation, sometimes we have to remove the doubt that there's a political maneuvering. Some may say, but Ibrahim, you're being naive. Clearly there's a political maneuvering here. I would want to indulge in my naivete, and I'll explain why I say so. 2013 to 2014, Alhaji Alassane Imoro, the former NSS director, was convicted of the same ghost names there. This was under an NDC government. Now, I can't sit here, 2025, when in 2014 I was supporting the evidences that came to fore. Initially, it was charged with 86.9 million cedis for ghost names. The same thing. He involved the directors, the regional directors. They would create the false names, the fake names, ghost names, send payments to the vendors. Then they would, through the same process, those regional executives and directors will then come and give him the money back. In July of 2014, Alhaji Moro, Mohammed Moro, he earned being in speech marks, quotation marks, 7.9 million cedis in that 1 month. Other calculations, I'm talking, this is 2014, not my calculations. Other calculations per his charge put around 548 million cedis. The numbers are starkly similar. So I'm answering your question, Nana. If I was so vociferous defending Ghana's interests, then why should I water down my submission today? Why should I? Why should I say that then the transparency under that NDC government, it was an NDC government, John Mahama was president when this happened in 2014. Now the same thing has happened. What should I do? Should I keep quiet? Should I say that, no, we should wait until we go to court and let the evidence come out? No, you want that transparency so we can follow due process. In law, it happens that there are indeed not only miscarriages of justice, Nana, but some people are wrongfully accused. I can sit here knowing Alhaji Mustafa Yusuf, the former NSS director and Minister of Sports, and this is my own personal relationship with him. He is above reproach in this one. That's me.
You're convinced?
Mike, I'm convinced, 100%. 100%. 100%. And if you notice, the Attorney General was not going into details regarding his, he just mentioned his name. There, Elvis is right. At least come with some facts before you mention my name.
Right.
That notwithstanding, it happens across board, okay? But the evidences, when I say evidence, the information that the Attorney General has given regarding Gifty, Wari Mensah, and then Asibi, am I right? Is it Kwame Gacy? Osiasibi, and there was another one. Is it Gacy?
Yes, yeah.
The deputy of operations.
You know, then the other one from Kofridwa. I mean, he has detailed what went on, the accounts, is it the e-switch that they used, okay? And then again, the loan for 30 million cedis from ADB. And then he gave the details of the accounts, who are the signatories to the account. Gifty's name is there. Okay, I think her husband too is also inside there.
To one of the companies.
That kind of information, why should we say that information should be kept only for the courts? If indeed it will come out at the courts, share it now. Is it prejudicial? You know, in terms of the information is given, is not in any way per his submission. Saying because I've explained that the NSS director, I'm talking Gifty, took out a loan from Blocks of Life Consult. And what was the premise of the loan? Saying that they were going to procure household appliances for NSS staff who would then purchase on a piecemeal basis, hire purchase and what have you. It's just giving you information. That at least we can interrogate. On what basis, Gifty, did you do this? And indeed, did you roll out these things? He has not said that she's guilty of an offense. There, in that statement, he said, our investigation gave us the following information. What mandate did you have to take out that 30 million loan? Number one. Good, it's good to be innovative, I understand. Having done that, did the recipients apply? Were they give, you know, now we can ask those questions. All the Attorney General has
the
done.
actual work for which you secured or procured the loan done.
I'm all for innovation, you know that. Ways in which we can motivate, you know, the youth in the base, and it's something that's entrepreneurial, it will yield to the benefit, why not? You know, especially if you can make sure that those items that are supposedly procured are either assembled in Ghana or made in Ghana. Okay, good. That is an opportunity for us to interrogate. I don't think in any way maligns Gifty, that section of it. But then the other areas, the e-switch accounts, the fake names,
the ghost names,
ghost names, thousands upon thousands over a period. Was it not Manasseh Azuri who first, is it Fourth Estate?
Fourth Estate.
So let's leave the AG out of this equation now. Are you trying to tell me the Fourth Estate, when they do an investigation, they shouldn't somehow bring it to the fore? When the same Manasseh Azuri informed us of the bribe that Jibril Sinaboye, from Burkina Faso.
From Burkina,
His name was Jibril.
Yes.
Unless I
is this the Ford?
The Ford that was given to John Mahama then. Should he keep quiet? It's an investigation. And then the wall of the Ghana embassy at Burkina Faso, costing something like $100,000 for a wall. Dollars all. Should we tell Manasseh to keep quiet? We didn't. We praised him. Am I right?
Yeah.
Manasseh then did a report. The intel came. Should we tell him to keep quiet? The same Manasseh has done the same thing on Zoom Lion. A contract that is non-existent and you're still delivering services. So we need to be fair. When there are agents looking to help Ghana to correct certain excesses in our system, it's not the time for politics. If there's policy, you'll know it, and then you can attack it from a political point of view. If it's helping the nation, it's not the Attorney General who did the investigation. It's the Fourth Estate. So let's understand the chronology of how it got to the Attorney General. Saying that, oh, he's naming names and what have you. Beyond the names, you know, the transparency is there. It's like saying to Fourth Estate, you shouldn't name names, but he's an investigative journalist.
Yeah.
So somehow, if we're talking on the A+ one, that one I can agree with Elvis. But on this one here, it's something that we have to look at collectively and dispassionately. We all say we want Ghana to succeed. Unless we deter those who work in the against interests of Ghana, then we're fooling ourselves. Before we came on, I was asking Elvis just to remind me, because that's his area, he's a journalist. What happened to Elijah Morrow's case? I said, was he incarcerated? He said, no. The case went to courts, back and forth. He's still free. It's not for me to call for anybody's incarceration.
But I think there was some retrieval.
You see, I want to get to that point, Nana. If we continue that, you can steal, but once you pay us back, you can go free. Then every murderer, every armed robber should continue. When we catch you, give the money and go free. What kind of plea bargaining are we doing? Plea bargain where you help the state. Yes, it's an incentive and an encouragement. Should be that we will reduce your sentence. Yeah. That's what I think plea bargaining should be. Instead of 10 years, we'll give you 5. Instead of 5 years, we'll give you 3. It's for the courts to decide. I'm just giving out some figures.
Right.
But the fact that people can give money back, and because you've helped us, for your reward, is that you won't be prosecuted to the point that you face jail, then Ghana, we should just pack up our bags, close shop, and ask Donald Trump for a visa, which he will refuse us. Are you getting me?
Right.
Good. There should be no plea bargaining to the point that you are scot-free. The reports we are reading is that they say they will return the quantum of 560 million cedis. So for all these years, what were you doing with that money? Just waiting for somebody to catch you? So, Master, here's the money. And then there are also farms. The NSS owns farms, which is fantastic. I didn't know this. They own farms, they produce and they sell. So Attorney General Ayine says they're now going to audit that area too. Fantastic. This is how Ghana succeeds. Administration upon administration, we have to be our own police, our own checks and balances. Because what we've done, I'm talking President Akufo-Addo's administration, is fantastic. We have transformed Ghana, positively so. So where there are excesses, we should not somehow cover those ones because they came within or from our administration. Let's give credit to President Akufo-Addo where we have transformed Ghana. And those individuals who on their own whim, their own selfish capacity, and I'm not condemning gift to anybody yet, let the courts do that, but I'm just speaking generally, never defend the indefensible. It may make some people feel uneasy. If you're feeling uneasy, why? You know, I have this statement, Nana. You know when you're in a market and a child is just being rude to his parents. I mean, just unruly. He's just going basa. I'm talking a toddler. And the parent does not discipline that child. You know, you even forget the child, you are angry at the parent. What kind of discipline are you giving to your child? Am I right? Now, same scenario, but the parent disciplines the child. Either a light tap or a strong warning. Pardon of your, stop what you're doing. Jai. Everybody now praises the parent. Am I right? Because they know that you are a unit of our progress. For society to grow, all of us must work in the interests of the village. So when you raise your child well, he or she will grow up to be a responsible person. So we praise the parent that disciplines their child. Am I right? And we castigate the parent who fails to discipline their child within that public space. The same with administrations. Governments come and go. An administration must discipline those who fall foul of the law, regardless of favor. Are you following me? This is how Ghana progresses. It sets the benchmark and it sets the rules that when, inshallah, you'll see it, administrations will change. And it will deter those people who think that getting into politics is a license to make money. When the majority are working breakneck speed to bleed and die for this country, as some of us do, we're into politics to add value to Ghana, not to take from Ghana. Those are the unsung heroes. We are working for Ghana, but those who would somehow tarnish our effort, don't save them because they belong to your party administration. If anybody's NDC today is defending Alaji Emoro, they need to be whipped. If anybody's, because he's been convicted.
Yeah.
Or you want to defend said Namtamaklo, Naslok.
Yeah.
Who is now a convicted felon. Once you arrive in Ghana, should go into jail. You need to be whipped if you're defending said Inam. Because the courts have found them guilty, the both.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Now, this one, the courts have yet to determine. But I'm saying that let us be fair to the reality. Don't defend if it's in the interest of against Ghana. Let the law work. The courts are there. Ayini as Attorney General has given his evidence. No,
right.
Yeah, his evidence.
Right.
Those who have been alleged to have been part of this will also give theirs.
Right.
And then we will determine the reality on the day. But for Ghana to succeed, we need discipline across board.
Very well. Right, thank you. You're watching Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 Television. I'll take a break here. When we come back, we read some of your messages and then we continue the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Life can get hectic, and sometimes we forget to prioritize our well-being. That's where Vernal Mineral Water steps in. A refreshing solution packed with essential minerals, Vernal Mineral Water keeps you hydrated and balanced. Whether you're at home or work, Vernal Mineral Water is there to keep you going. Don't let a busy schedule hinder your health. Make Vernal Mineral Water a part of your daily routine. Share the love with Vernal Mineral Water, the choice for a healthy, vibrant you.
This advert is FDA approved.
Asilwela ukunqoba kuphela. Kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze.
Sekunjalo.
Bold patterns, bolder women, celebrating the gift of womanhood.
GTP, Life Styled.
Life moves faster. Cooking shouldn't slow you down. Introducing the newest Franco microwave, specially made for you, the fastest and safest way to cook. Defrost, reheat, melt, and cook with Franco microwave with advanced technology that knows exactly what you want. Visit our website at www.francotrading.com. Download our Franco Trading app on Google Play Store or Apple App Store. For bulk purchasing and enquiries, call the numbers on your screen. Franco microwave, simple controls, smart sensors. Franco, the home of quality microwave.
All righty, thank you for staying with us. You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 TV. We're having the news review segment. I'll take a few of your messages and then we continue the conversations. This one says, good morning. Please tell Elvis that we, the citizens, are okay with the AG. He cannot direct AG on what to do. He can only do the talking. All right, this one says, what at all is wrong with the NSS Secretariat? In 2014, Alhaji Alhassan Imoru, then Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, and 36 others were charged with stealing 86.9 million cedis through fraudulent payments to ghost service personnel. In 2015, the BNI retrieved 30 million cedis from some of the accused individuals, which was part of the stolen funds. What happened to the case? Today, another one is in. President Mahama should go back in the docket to deal with both cases. It is Ghana's money and not for any party. The woman, if found guilty, must face the law squarely. No communicator will entertain what you describe as pen robbers. You put that in quotes. This is from Master Planner Jr. from Kintampo. Elvis, final take on this NSA scandal, and then we'll move on to other issues.
I'm saying that deal with the scandal. And Ibrahim made the issue of Fourth Estate and attorney. They are two different entities. The media has no power to prosecute anybody. So the media, all you do is when you do your investigation, you find out, put it in the public. That is the limit of the media. So nobody will say media going to do an investigation about so the person shouldn't mention the name or not. No, we as media don't have the power to prosecute anybody. So our last resort is to publish what we have found. So media has the right to publish anything it found. But the AG's duty is to prosecute people. So the mandates are different. So I'm only saying that I would prefer an AG that will do investigations, go to court, and then when the case is called in court and the media decide to follow and report to the public, I would prefer that method of getting information to the public than the AG himself coming to stand in public and holding a press conference. The AG, as he said at the time of Alhaji Moro, the AG at the time was not holding press conferences. It was media that was publishing what was happening, not AG having a press conference telling the public what has happened. But through the same media, we got to know everything that has happened at the NSS through the media and at the Alhaji Moro era. So I'm only saying that let's AG focus on its main mandate of investigate and prosecute. Media's mandate is investigate and make it public to people to know what has happened. So I'm not saying that the media should not, I'm saying that I think the AG's mandate should be more of prosecutorial. We, the media, will get the story from the court.
I don't think the AG's reneging on that mandate.
We, the media, will get story from the court. I'm saying that there are damages to, and I've mentioned to his own personal reputation. And I've also told you the potential damage for the judiciary. The potential, see, we are just looking at it that we are getting information, but the potential damage for the when the agent says that this is a criminal enterprise. Assuming without admitting, I don't know the outcome of the case, I don't have, and it goes to court and the agent loses the case. What do you want the ordinary person that you have told that this is a criminal enterprise to think of the judiciary if the person wins the case in court? So it is not only about the AG. It's also about confidence in the judicial system. In one way, you think that giving information to the public is a way of engendering confidence. But in another way, if you go to court and those cases do not stand the test of evidence and you lose them, the damage you are causing to people, innocent judges will now be accused of selling justice to people because the AG said this is a criminal enterprise. How did the judge say that the case is not good enough to jail somebody?
But we also know that the final judgment or conviction does not lie within the powers of the AG.
That is what
so if the AG says
that is what the damage is. The ordinary person is not interested in what you are saying. The ordinary person's interest is that the AG says this is a criminal enterprise. So the expectation of the ordinary person that these people must go to jail. Because the AG has made a pronouncement that they are criminal enterprise.
But
so they must go to jail.
I think you're simplifying it. An ordinary person will know that regardless of what the AG says, the matter has to go to court.
No, that is what I'm telling you, that when Neil Antebantapon mentioned his story here, who knows the outcome of the case? But today, anybody can say, oh, Neil Antebantapon, by the time my NDC lost the election in 2016, oh, he was accused of corruption. And if you Google it, will be online there.
Good. Neil Antebantapon could afford that and have it same thing.
Why do you have to take the person to that stress? When you can wait for the right authority to make pronouncement. I'm saying that, look, we should look at both sides of the coin. In one way, the AG may think that I'm giving the public information, but the unintended consequence of what he's doing is that in the event that he goes to court and loses the case, now ordinary people now can wake up and say, did the judge collect money? Because the AG said these people have engaged a criminal enterprise. So where did the case go? Okay, for instance, as you talk about Gifty say that he's buying something for national service people and all that. This Assembly's common fund. The common fund sits in Accra and use the allocation for assemblies to buy equipment for them and deduct it from their allocations. Will somebody go to court that's a criminal enterprise? The national service people, they have
an
established. They have an allowance. They have an association.
Does the administration have the authority?
That's what I'm telling you. That
is it not the difference here?
Listen,
Gifty made these
the common fund law does not give the common fund law does not give the common fund administration any that authority. But if they discuss with the assemblies and they say we need the equipment, they say well, then we will buy it for you. There's nothing wrong.
Is the equipment bought for
national
them?
Yes.
That's
what I'm saying. If the National Service Authority Secretary, the National Service, they have an association.
Right.
What if it turns out that the association starts with the secretary and say these things that they want to buy, we want it, so we want to sign a memorandum that we are asking you to use our service allowance to buy these things for us. I'm not saying anything like that exists. Right. I'm only saying that you see the potential of reputational damage for the judiciary in the event that all these pronouncements are made and the case goes to court, and in the event
that the case is lost,
the AG loses the case. The potential damage to the judiciary is also big, and we should also consider that yes, the AG may be doing something that will be getting clapping for today, but what if tomorrow the case goes to court? And people say, but the AG has already said these people are criminals. They've engaged in criminal enterprise. And how can a judge now let people involved in criminal enterprise go scot-free? We have to be careful. Look, the Auditor General report, the Auditor General has gone to say, this person has done this. People went to court. It's an official report presented to Parliament. Media carried it. They went to court and challenged the Auditor General, and they won. The winning of the case is nowhere in the media space. But the Auditor General report, which is a public document, is everywhere that this company has done something wrong. I'm saying that we all want justice. That's why I said I will not entertain anybody who has stolen public money because they are privileged to be given the opportunity among hundreds of thousands of qualified people in their party who could serve the nation. You were the one that was selected to come and say it's a privilege. So if you come and use that position to enrich yourself at the expense of the taxpayer, the law must deal with you.
Thank you.
But in that process, we should also be mindful of the fact that the way we go about it could have unintended consequences that could also erode confidence in the judiciary, even though the judiciary is not the one who has come to do a press conference.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you. Ibrahim.
I need another bite on this one. The Attorney General is the government's lawyer. Am I right?
Yeah.
Good. Imagine a situation where a shopping center, some staff members are stealing from there. They caught them on CCTV. That shopping center engages its lawyer, to prosecute the case. Its lawyer. And in the media space, that lawyer says that what we have witnessed amounts to a criminal enterprise. This is before the court, before the court proceedings. But he or she, the lawyer, has every right to say that from what they are seeing, the staff members are engaging in a criminal enterprise. It's for the courts to determine. The fact that the lawyer has said it's a criminal enterprise doesn't mean the judge too will then say, because the lawyer said, come on.
The judge will look at the
and you were right when you were rolling or walking Elvis back on his statement. That the judge is the judge. There's nothing to stop Ayine, Honorable Attorney General, from saying that what they're seeing is a criminal enterprise. I don't think that's any way prejudicial because even in court, he is the government's lawyer. So let's say the court date arrives, Bieshe, at the court, and the Attorney General says that, Your Honor, my Lord, what we are saying for XYZ in a submission is a criminal enterprise.
For his investigation, that's what he thinks. So it's up to him to go and defend same in court.
All. So whether he says it in court, which will be captured, the stenographers are there. As you talk, they type, and we have the public record. Elvis and his colleagues will be there. So whether he says it now, or 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later in court, as the government's lawyer, and his submission is telling the judge this from our deduction is a criminal enterprise. How does that somehow impugn on the reputation of the judges? that because I've said it, now you have to let them go free or you have to incarcerate them. No, the two are
entirely different.
Totally different. Totally different. So I beg to differ with Elvis on that particular one. You know, I mentioned earlier, because I know him personally, I'm talking Honorable Yusuf.
Mustafa Yusuf.
Yeah. He is above, for me, again for me, above reproach. Totally. I've worked with him on Africa Games and the guy is meticulous. So I'm just giving my... So the fact that you mentioned the name, had he mentioned his name, and has he done with Gifty and Asebi and the rest, said that, then we can look back and say, okay, let's look into the matter. But the Attorney General mentioned his name and nothing else was behind it. So there I agree with Elvis.
So for someone like that, you should be worried about the reputational damage to him.
Yes, because if you're not going to give us a substance, don't give us the soup. We want the meat to go with the soup.
Right.
And on that particular one, the Attorney General failed. Failed in telling us, why have you mentioned his name? Just mention it, or check back again. It's not wrong, it's not right. You get me? And because I know him, I can speak from a personal point of view. But take my personality or my personal relationship with the Honorable Yusuf out of it, and then say, you mentioned his name. And so, why? Because you mentioned all the others, and you've mentioned Israel, directors, companies, loans, all manner. You know, so you've given us something to chew on. You know, Jibril Kanazoe, that's the guy's name.
Kanazoe. Yeah.
When he gave the bribe to John Mahama, it came with facts. I'm talking Manasseh. Likewise, Saddam Tamaklo. I received the petition in my office as Assistant Secretary to the President at the time. So I have first-hand knowledge of the evidence against Saddam. I don't want to divert the thing, but I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes when you are seized with the facts, you can speak confidently on certain personalities or the issues, and the courts have determined so. Likewise with the Lajimura, as our country reader, our viewer contributed. So on this one, I want to add my submission here to say that I do not see, notwithstanding throwing Honorable Yusuf's name without adding anything to it, anything wrong in the transparency that we are witnessing here.
Right.
And I would urge Ghanaians, this is my personal point of view, let's not allow this plea bargaining to allow people to go free. If you're helping the state and you've shown remorse, yes, we can reduce your custodial sentence. We need to have a deterrence. Do you think that it's only across administration? Is it only NSS where there's fraud? It's cuts across.
Right.
Cuts across administrations, cuts across sectors. Unless and until we do the right thing. I'm not saying China is corrupt free. And I'm not saying that we should do, what do you call it, the death penalty for corruption.
Right.
I'm not arguing for that. But you find that China, the corruption is somehow
minimal.
And we want to really build Ghana, build Africa. And sometimes you need, you know, important men make impossible decisions, or important people make impossible decisions. And the decisions that we need to make are to make sure that we do the right thing in the interest of Ghana and not individuals.
Very well. Let's move on. The GRA has frozen the Doomsday levy again. Implementation was scheduled to start somewhere last week, I think on the 12th. Yes. And then was postponed to allow for further engagements to the 16th, which is today. We're being told that it's been postponed again. We do not have a date yet. Ghana Revenue Authority, I'm reading from channel1news.com, has postponed the implementation of the revised energy sector shortfall and debt repayments levy, which was initially scheduled to take effect on June 16, 2025. This decision follows a directive from the Minister of Finance after consultations with key industry stakeholders. It goes on to, it tells us about the memo that was issued. Goes on to say the new tariff order would have resulted in an increase in levies on selected petroleum products as part of government's efforts to address shortfalls and debts in the energy sector. So basically, the news is that the implementation of what has become known as the D levy, the Doomsday levy, has been postponed again. We're hearing attribution to Israel, Iran. I don't know what you make of this, Elvis. Could this be it? And then, of course, the argument on the other side that said, hey, you chastise us for attributing our economic challenges to Russia, Ukraine. So don't even go near Israel, Iran.
Oh, it's just, see, politicians will do things for political gains. There's no way any country in the world
Typical
can
of them,
say it's an island and therefore global geopolitical issues cannot affect you. The NDC has been smart. Now they have adopted the global geopolitical issues instead of using specific Russia and Ukraine. And I think that was a smart communication because they said, no, you can't attribute the problems of Ghana to Russia-Ukraine war. So they can't just also come and be repeating the same thing that they have impact on us. So what they did is communication where they are smart to say, okay, let's say geopolitical concerns and issues. So if you look at all the reports from Finance Ministry, Bank of Ghana and the rest, they are not specifically referring to Israel, the specific issues. They will refer to geopolitical issues. But the truth of the matter is that it's the same thing that they are all saying. Geopolitical issues can be broken down to specific issues. But they realize that they politicize that and use it for political advantage, so they should not use it. But this one, they were caught unawares, just like global geopolitical issues. You can't predict them. Truth of the matter is that if one Ghana cedi had been added, it will increase the price of fuel. Now we see clear that the Russia-Ukraine, the Israel-Iran war, Iran alone is responsible for about 3.3 million barrels of oil, about 9% of the world demand for a day, and they export over 2 million of it. The strikes from Israel is targeting their Iran's oil infrastructure, so they are destroying some of these things, and therefore, obviously, there will be demand and supply issues. So obviously, there will be a drop. So Friday, if you look at the global market, oil prices rose about 7% immediately on last Friday. Even this morning, when the markets opened, I just read, oil prices spiked heavily this morning as well, but it's like it's retreating back to a certain point. But truth of the matter is that oil that used to be about 60, 65 something, as of Friday, oil is about $74 per barrel for Brent. And this is just the beginning of what is happening, okay? In the Russia-Ukraine war, oil prices rose above $100. Oil prices per barrel rose above $100. And oil is a global commodity that is traded on a global platform. So whether you are producing it yourself or you are exporting, the price is the same. So it will definitely affect you. So I think that economic-wise for the ordinary Ghanaian, it's a wise decision to say, let's not implement. Because if we do it now, the joy of we have reduced the pain of Ghanaians will just vanish in thin air within a minute. Because what is happening is, if it continues, and let's say by the end of the week, oil gets to about $80 per barrel and stays and keep going up, it means that for the next 2 weeks, where the next pricing window will come up, the oil importers that are bringing will factor that into their price, and obviously the price of fuel products will go up. And then you are adding 1 cedi per liter to that as well. Obviously, to shoot the price of oil probably to levels that they were before NDC came to power, which obviously will immediately erode everything that the cedi appreciation.
So it's time to re-strategize our energy policies, actually. We cannot continue importing refined products.
You see, energy globally is what drives the whole world. And there's a global shortage of energy everywhere. And this is what you understand. The producing countries of oil, their economy is solely dependent on oil. So when global forces force them to reduce price of oil for economic recovery globally, they are also not happy because it affects their budget. Today, from Friday to today, all producing countries will be smiling because there's a windfall profit from the prices before Israel and Iran started, because then the 7% increment is additional revenue that they had not planned, because projected wise, they are projected maybe oil will be around $65 throughout the year. Then all of a sudden it goes to 74. So it means that those countries that are producing oil, all of a sudden are going to get some additional. For them, it's good for them. Though it's hurting the rest of the world, for them it's good for their economy. So the point is that so long as there is a global shortage of energy in the world, the challenge is that any small trigger in the area of energy affects everybody, because every country in the world depends on energy to move. So whether we like it or not, we must understand that until we look locally and trying to find solutions to a lot of our problems, this thing that we are on there, as we speak, you don't even have energy in terms of, say, security stocks that maybe America and the rest. If there is no oil produced in the world today, America can still, based on their security stocks, maybe for a year or two, still operate without a problem. Ghana, our strategic stock, which is supposed to be bought, has nothing. We have turned it into a container that stores oil for private importers. So if in 2 weeks there's any problem, and when you look at the story that I read, it says that there's this strait through where a lot of ships pass through. For now, it's like it's not even affected by what is happening. If Iran decides to now begin to shoot into that area where ships that carry oil and there's supply disruptions, we may even suffer. We may even queue for crude fuel products in this country.
What I was trying to ask Elvis earlier is the fact that our oil is lifted, and then we have to spend about 400 million USD monthly to bring refined or finished products back. Is it time to re-strategize our policy? It's now more or less a warehouse, so that we can refine some of our, because we are subject to the force of external shocks.
Sure. Yeah, it's important. That somebody would say that's a no-brainer. What you said, Nana, before is perfect. It's about putting our priorities correctly and saying that we have the resource, so let's make sure now that we can refine the resource. We've had Tamor refinery even before we had commercial volumes of oil. So let's do all the necessary. But again, it has to be cost effective, and I'm sure that when they crunch the numbers, they can say that for X we can achieve Y and make sure that we benefit from it. And it can be doable because it's over a period. Let's say, for argument's sake, it's going to cost us $1 billion to rehabilitate, retrofit Tamor refinery. And then you work out over a period, how much will we save? So maybe after 5 years, we are break even. So in the 6th year, we are in profit. Better than always be cap in hand at the mercy of world prices. But understand something, it's not just about oil. It's about our energy consumption. Okay? And we need to change our energy mix. I mentioned it about 6-7 weeks ago here, that if we have small modular reactors, you remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
These are nuclear reactors, but on such a smaller scale. They're about the size of your garage, but it's scalable. Now, 1,000 megawatts costs around $4.6 million. And you construct, and it's like a building block. You build one here, you attach another one, and so on and so forth. That and nuclear, it is, how can I call it? In terms of the inputs, 93% of France's energy is on nuclear.
Wow.
93%. They have one of the highest densities of nuclear power stations. But those are the traditional ones, which can cost $20-30 billion to construct. These ones, I just give them the figures, $4.6 million per 1,000 megawatts. Do the maths and you purchase accordingly. When we do that, then our reliance on imported crude, HFOs, heavy fuel oils, can be lessened, which then gives us more breathing space economically. Beyond that, when we can power our economy successfully and affordably, we will unleash so much energy, operative word, so much economic benefit. Because now areas which are being starved of electricity in terms of our economy are now being sustainably and affordably provided. You talk about wanting to do irrigation for agriculture. Irrigation requires a pump to move the water from point A to B. So you need power, electricity. Imagine having SMRs at these critical locations, providing energy to villages, cities, and towns. For those who don't understand, let me just quickly explain something.
Briefly.
Nuclear submarines, they can stay underwater for 3-4 months at a time before they come up for air. Okay? I'm talking the nuclear ships, nuclear submarines. And they are powered by SMRs, small modular reactors. Where do you think they're not getting solar? It's not thermal. So nuclear submarines, so it's that same technology from the 60s that has now been refined. So I'm just sending this out to both industry and government, that there are solutions that can help us to extract ourselves from the world oil market prices and what it does.
Very well.
But last sentence, that alone doesn't mean that we cannot be exposed to the excesses of these fluctuations. For example, shipping containers, the ships, they run on diesel. So when price goes up, the shipping lines charge more. They charge more to the importers and exporters. So no matter how we feel it, it's about adding our energy mix so that we can be in better control of the economy and how it affects us.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Ajay, former Assistant Secretary Office of the former President, Elvis Dako, news editor for the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com. I must say here that we were expecting Victor Dawudu to have joined us. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. Hopefully, we'll have him here next time. This has been the News Review segment on Breakfast Daily. I am Nanatu Boateng. Many thanks for your time. Stay with us. Breakfast Daily continues.
Rise and shine, it's another day to stay on point. Toast is Friday, it's still on point. Watch is Friday all day long. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Watch is Friday, it's still on point. For your bread, it's creamy. For your toast, it's still on point. It's yummy, delicious. It's still on point. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. For your toast, it's still on point. It's still on point. Fortune spread, it's yummy, delicious. It's still on point.
Fortune spread, delicious, creamy, and always on point. This advert is FDA approved.
In a fast-growing urban environment like Accra, safety should not be too far-reaching. It should be as easy as ABC. Hear the real stories from those who now feel safe like never before with Response 1.
We were held at gunpoint in our own home, and they got away with it.
We didn't have Response 1 back then. That was the most terrifying experience of our lives.
But after that, we subscribed to Response 1 to ensure that never happens again. The last time the hoodlums tried, we had installed Response 1 monitored alarm system. Their response team arrived, followed by the police, to ensure we are safe.
Don't wait for tragedy to strike. Protect your home with Response 1's monitored alarm system and our theft protection guarantee. Immediate response, real protection. Response 1, stay connected, stay protected.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy, chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm the rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Asilwela ukunqoba kuphela, kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze.
Sekunjalo.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together. Curious about what's happening beyond your borders? Beyond Borders takes you there. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m., join Caleb Kuda as he explores the stories that shape our world, connecting you with Ghanaians in other cultures and seeing the world through their eyes.
So we've learned one thing: you leave your shoes outside.
Wow. Tuesdays,
yeah.
you know, I won't go to Ghana dressed in a Lacoste.
As director of operations.
From international politics to the human stories that define nations, Beyond Borders brings you a fresh perspective of Ghanaians around the world, one conversation at a time. Beyond Borders with Caleb Kuda airs Wednesdays at 7 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
You're still live on Breakfast Daily right here on Channel 1 Television, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you join us this morning. If you're just tuning in, you're very welcome. You've missed the first part of the show, but do not worry. Philip and I are here to take you through till 11 a.m. So you are in for a jolly ride this morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jifa Kedi Akutu.
My name is Philip Nilate. So this is the second half. I always say that it's like a football match. You play the first half and you move to the second half of the show. But I'm sure you are still preparing for the Agri Fair 2025, because please, if you haven't prepared yet, start now. It's this weekend. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we can't afford to not have you there at the event, because this is the only program or the only event that brings the farmers closer to you, so that you can buy that goat you want to buy for the Christmas, whatever you want to purchase for your home, and all that fresh produce will be coming your way, and the farmers will be at the venue, and the venue is the Ifwa Sunderland Park. It's happening on 20th to 22nd of June 2025. Each day is 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you can call the numbers on your screens, 0205 973 973, for further information. We'll be having conversation on that on the show today, so you wouldn't want to miss out on that. I'm sure Jifa has already prepared, and she's coming there with baskets.
Of course, not just baskets, but I am coming with a truck, an empty truck actually, to pack all that I can.
Oh, really?
Because look, we've just split the year into two, but December is just around the corner.
Yeah.
Maybe or maybe not, we are going to see prices of foodstuffs go up or come down. I can't tell, depending on how the year would go. But if I were you, as I am planning on stocking up my freezer, and these days there are lots of preservation methods to preserve your meals. You can do the frying, the drying, the refrigerating, and all of the other...
The salting.
Yes, and all of the other methods, and then save the foodstuffs for as long as you can, especially perishable goods like tomatoes, onions, when it comes to fruits, bananas, avocados, and all of that. There are lots and lots of ways that you can preserve them. And for seasonal fruits or crops, when it is in season, make sure you maximize the opportunity to eat as much as you can, because when it goes out of season, you would have to wait till the next season before you'll be able to afford some. So this is an opportunity to come and shop. And aside from the shopping, there's going to be an interesting avenue to explore, or an opportunity for you out there if you want to be a marketer, if you want to sell in your neighborhood, or if you want to just start a small business, or even if you want to start backyard farming or gardening at home. You have a small piece of land that you don't really know
what to use it for. This is your opportunity to come and explore all the various crops or produce that you can actually grow between June to December, because the farmers will be there. You get the opportunity to interact with them, ask them all the questions, and then get to understand what the crop is, what you can do as a farmer or even a small business owner if you're looking at going into that venture. This is an opportunity. Look, it's a lifetime opportunity. If you're a vendor or you want to come and exhibit your products and up until now you've not made any payment, today is what, 16th June? 16th June.
We have less than 4 days.
And the event is starting
20th.
on Friday.
Yeah.
Friday,
By
barely 4
18th,
days.
everything comes to an end.
Yes,
so
and
you
this
should make sure
morning,
that
Frema mentioned on
you are
radio that
paying.
we do not have a time to say that slots are full or we are sold out.
It can be today.
If yes, by close of today or even by 10 minutes time, the number we are looking at or we are looking for, we exceed the number or we reach our limit and you call, we'll rather tell you that, oh, we are very sorry, but we've sold out. And mind you, if you think you know a Philip or you know a Jifa and then you call, oh, Charlie, I want to be a part of the Agri, I called the number and I'm being told we are sold out. You feel look inside for me small, there's nothing we can do about it. So if I were you and I have not made payment, I'll do that right away, I mean now. But for you who just want to come and explore or come and shop, remember it is free of charge for you. Just come with your kids, with the family, and come and shop as much as you can.
So having gotten this Agri Lessons 101 from G5, you would also want to stick with us here because we have on-air series for you for the City Business Festival, a number of things. Today, we'll be taking you to a factory and bring you all the insight and information you need from that particular factory, to be done by Vivian Kaya Loco, who is the head of news here at Channel 1 and City FM. And also Bernard Avila will be sitting with his guest and we'll bring you that exciting conversation. So make sure that you are part and parcel with us, of us here on Channel 1 TV from this period to the end of June, because we have a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot for you today. So you can see on your screen, basic legal education for SMEs. This will be a conversation between Bernard Avle and Jonathan Amable, who is the managing attorney, LNF Legal Advisors. You wouldn't want to miss this opportunity for anything. It's exactly 10 a.m. here on Channel 1 TV. But now though, let's go straight to what we have for our viewers today. Vivian Kaya Loco went to Blue Skies. I'm sure that that particular company you've been getting your fresh juice from, you really do not know a lot about this organization. But Vivian had a conversation with the individuals there, and let's bring you that exciting documentary. Enjoy.
Welcome back to our special edition on the City Business Festival. I am Vivian Kaya Loco. This program is looking at the many beautiful stories in agriculture. And as you know, we're currently at Blue Skies, and we're honored to have the founder of Blue Skies, Anthony Powell, who's joining us. He's going to tell us the vision, why he decided to go into agriculture, what it's been so far, and what the future holds for a business like Blue Skies that is doing so well, not just in Ghana or Africa, but across the world, with a huge human resource as well. Over 5,000 workers in Ghana alone. So we'll talk about all that. But Anthony, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Vivian, for talking to me.
Right.
We're always happy to tell the story of Blue Skies, because I think it is a story which can probably be understood by a lot of young people here in Ghana who themselves actually just wonder what to do next.
Yeah.
The opportunity, I think, for entrepreneurs, the opportunity for entrepreneurs in the agricultural sector have really never been greater.
Yeah.
Equally, of course, the challenges are forever evident. And I think that's what makes entrepreneurial activities so much fun. You know, an entrepreneur isn't somebody actually who starts a business.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur is somebody who has the focus, who then when they come up against a problem and they get knocked down, she or he gets up again.
Get up and move.
And moves on again.
Yeah.
But in the same direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what sets entrepreneurs apart from anybody else, because they can normally take the knocks and then get up again.
Which I see you've done, you've been down a lot of times, but the most important thing to your story is you always got up and moved with your focus.
Yeah, you have to get up and move forward with the focus. So one thing which I think in Ghana we have, which is exceptional, which really, it lights my fire.
Yeah.
Are the people themselves. If you walk down the high street of my hometown in England, and you would, if you looked at somebody in the eye, like I'm looking you in the eye now, you probably would see a scowl, or you would see a downtrodden, beaten up face. But you don't. Here in Ghana,
there's always a smile.
There's a smile. There's a smile. There's an energy. There's an enthusiasm. There's a let's get up and crack on approach to life. And all we've done, all one's done, is to harness that. And then say, do you want to come?
Come along.
You're crazy to come, but if you want to come along.
So what pushed you to come to Ghana and build this? What tell us the story behind this vision. When did you get to Ghana for the first time?
Well, let me just answer the first part of your question, which is, entrepreneurial activity isn't actually necessarily innate. It's very often something that's triggered by an event.
Yeah.
In my case, I was fired.
Fired? Well, where were you working? In England?
Yeah, I was working in England.
Okay.
And they got fed up with me banging on about how they really ought to go to Africa and set up a business there. So they booted me out.
Okay.
And so I
do you mind sharing us
where my mouth is, and I went over.
Do you mind sharing with us a company that?
Yeah, I can, because they're unfortunately now dead. I stayed with them for 7 years. They used to make freshly squeezed orange juice.
Oh. Okay.
And I moved them into making salads. They're the first people in the world, actually, to make salads. We weren't very successful, and I thought the only way we would become successful is by actually going to source. Their name was originally Fresh Fruit Juice Manufacturing Limited. It was such a terrible name that I changed it to Orchard House Foods.
Okay, that was nicer.
Yeah, and so I was the MD, the boss of Orchard House Foods, appointed by the shareholders. And to make it, I joined it when it was doing 2 or 3 million, introduced just freshly squeezed juice.
Okay.
So I moved them forward to do this, what we call fruit salads.
Okay.
And the first in the world.
Yeah.
And when I left, when I was booted out, we were doing 25 million.
Wow.
So setting up in Ghana seemed a natural thing. I'll never forget my wife's face when I went back and said, I've been fired again. It wasn't the first time I'd been fired. And so I went back and she said, well, she put her hands on her hips and she said, okay, so what are you going to do
next?
now?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do Africa.
I'm sure she was like, are you crazy?
She did think I was a bit mad. But that was on the 6th of December, 1996.
Oh.
And on the 1st of January, 1997, I was stepping out of, I think it was Ghana Airways.
It should have been.
It might have been British Airways, but it was one or the other. In those days they had an MD-11 or something, one of the old aircraft. And I stepped out of that and I thought, and I was hit by this wall of humidity and heat.
Hot.
And I thought, what the hell have I done here? But anyway, I had to carry on walking down the steps, carried my own bag. And of course, it was in the days of Jerry Rawlings.
Okay.
And I thought, to answer the part of your question you asked, why Ghana?
Yeah.
Well, they'd introduced this thing called the free zone.
Yeah.
And I liked that. We could control our own exchange, there were no exchange controls. You were given support to be able to basically make a whole lot of imports without too many tariffs and quotas on it. But the important thing is there was no corporation tax for 10 years.
Okay.
That was huge for me.
Yeah.
And I really would commend that, because, I sometimes worry that, they might lose that, because that is a huge carrot for people
to come in, investors, right? It's a real luring point.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So that carrot was wheeled in front of me and I went for that. But there are lots of other things, I was always being fired. I was kicked out of school at 16.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I hadn't got any O-levels, A-levels or degrees or anything of that sort. So, I didn't speak French. And I know that your neighbouring countries here are
French, yeah.
Some of them are.
Ivory Coast,
Yeah,
and all
so
that.
I had to go to a country where they at least understand
English.
So that's one big thing for Ghana. But, you know, there were a few other things as well. The financial institutions here, the legal systems here, have all either been modelled on or closely linked
to
and
the
allied
UK.
to the UK. So actually, it was a doddle from that point of view. Of course, there were all the normal difficulties. I mean, in those days, you went from office to office in the government, and you never got anywhere. You got lots of smiles, and why don't you write a letter?
You always have to write it.
But you know, bit by bit, this is the entrepreneur bit. You know, you do not give up, and you just keep going. And they found this bit of land actually for us.
So this was your first land that you got in Sawam.
Okay. Entered in Sawam. Made a lot of sense because there'd been a big disappointment here called the Cannery. I don't know if you know about the Sawam Cannery.
There's Sawam Cannery, yeah.
It was a legendary
it was huge.
failure, but it was a beautifully laid out place, but it really hadn't fired a shot in anger. And it seemed very odd. So along we came here, we sort of plonked ourselves here, put the stake in the ground, built a factory in 5 months, and on the 26th of February in 1998, we sent a few kilos off to Sainsbury's, a big retailer
in the UK.
Yeah. And they said, well, I thought you guys couldn't do pineapples. I mean, these are people who, by the way, when they came out here, they said, I haven't seen a pineapple tree. Where are these pineapple trees? So they don't grow on trees, they grow in the ground. So they didn't know much about pineapples. But don't tell Sainsbury's that. But they probably learned a bit since then. But anyway, we got going. We had 35 people then.
Okay.
And here we are, wine 4 o'clock. We got 5,000 here today.
So how easy was it getting that workforce of 35 in terms of the recruitments?
I just said to a very good friend of mine called Louis, he at last died of meningitis a few years after we started. He was a wonderful man. He was a great fixer of things. He knew everybody. He lived in Sawam and he knew everybody everywhere. I said to him one day, well, I think this factory's coming on quite well. It's probably about time that we got a few people in. Do you think you could find 35 people? The following morning, no word of a lie, there were 500 people outside, outside here.
And you had to take only 35?
And we only wanted 35. I think we went to probably 45 or 50 and then whittled it down. Sorry. But it was so amazing. And, you know, so many stories to tell about those early days, but I'm not going to bore you with those now. Suffice to say that we were off. And when you think that there was no electricity here, we had to use a First World War generator that one of the wonderful guys that we brought in found with a spot down the road. My friends here will remember where it was and when it was. And every day, you know, they got this generator in and tried to get the thing going. It's a wonderful guy called Bob O'Donu. Yeah, I can remember. And he, every day, you know, we came in, I haven't got it going yet. Fiddle around, covered it all over, and it, boop, 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 boop. And then, you know, the next day,
it wasn't kicking.
And then one day, about 2 or 3 weeks later,
boom.
And the thing started going, and puffs of smoke came out, and we suddenly had electricity.
Oh, wow.
We found water. There's fantastic water under here. So we had people, we had water, we had electricity. What else do you want in life? We had the airport down the road. It only took 35 minutes to get to it. Now, I bet you didn't take 35 minutes to get to us today.
The bad road and the serious traffic, it's almost an hour.
And all the way to Accra, you know, you just see green fields and cassava and nothing else. And just the old little village here and there. And now, of course, just lots of concrete, which in some ways is the one big challenge, I think, that we have here in Ghana. And if I had any message to impart with this very nice opportunity you've given me, it is that really there's a price to taking for all that concrete. The price has been paid, if you like, by the agricultural sector. You know, the huge, huge, thousands of kilometers, I'd say, of land. I've been up in a helicopter above here. If you have never done it, do it. Where there used to be forests, or at least green grass and cassava or whatever. It's now a sand. It's a desert.
Just brown.
Yes.
And
of
concrete.
course, with climate change bringing the desert down from the Sahel, the Sahara, and with us creating our own desert going north of the crowd.
Yeah.
Translating it into concrete, taking away the trees, taking away the topsoil, digging up this illegally. It's like the drug industry. You know, if you get a stand in the way of these guys, you get shot.
Yeah. Do you get worried about the agri industry, considering some of these? So, not just sand winning. There's also the issue of galamsey and all that. How does that hit you, especially you being here for years and seeing the potential we can have in the industry if we do things right and cut out all these sand winning and all these
issues? Use the word galamsey.
Yeah.
Okay. And use the word sand winning. Both those two words have a sort of euphemistic magnificence about them. They sound as if they're almost innocent, positive. I call sand winning sand stealing. It's not sand winning. It's no winning. It's stealing. Yeah. All the sand that you see has been stolen. There's no, might be the odd crooked chief who said, you know, you can take it. But I can tell you, we've built, I think Alistair was telling me, where's Alistair? He's over there now. But I think he told me the other day that we've built 45 schools. 45 schools. I don't know how many clinics, I don't know how many. We have done a huge amount.
Impact.
Impact. Every time I stand up in front of the huge gathering of chiefs and people, I say, please, one thing, can you stop the sand stealing? Sometimes they shuffle about in their feet and what have you. Other times they look at you straight, so of course. But actually, most of the time, it is the most criminal thing that's going on in this country because it is destroying the very agricultural asset that we all have here. So we've got to do something about it. So you asked me what I think about galamsey and what about sand winning. It's all theft. Unless it happens under the auspices of the government, under the controls. My appeal to the government actually is, please, ladies and gentlemen, please, 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 can we have some sort of land reform? Can we have some intervention? Can we punish the people who are stealing? I mean, if I went away to your house and stole your television tonight, I'd probably end up in Unsawan prison.
Yeah.
Quite right too.
Yeah.
But hundreds of thousands, millions of CDs worth is every day being stolen from it. But the worst thing of all is the future of our children, our grandchildren, our great-grand. And I'm speaking as a Ghanaian because I've actually got a Ghanaian.
You're Ghanaian now, I'm told.
Yes.
How long have you been Ghanaian?
How long have I been? 10 years? Something like that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that it's our grandchildren and great-grandchildren who are going to curse us.
Yeah.
They're going to curse us for the lack of planning of all our higgledy-piggledy buildings. As when we don't put gardens next door to our houses, we just and all this concrete. But the thing they're going to be really cross about is the way in which our legacy was to destroy agriculture. So please, my plea actually to civil society and especially to our legislators, our government, is please stop the sand stealing. Put them in prison. If they steal sand and you haven't approved it, put them in prison. That's where they should be. Rather than, I shall probably get shot as I go out of the site tonight. But anyway, the point is, it's got to stop. We employ these 5,000 people here. We depend upon the raw material, but we're having to move north all the time. At the same time, the Sahara is marching south. And we're going to get squashed in the middle. So let's at least stop the man-made disaster that's creeping from the south, from Accra.
Let's look at building the business after the numbers started going up between the 35. We will not come to the 5,000 yet, but in between that period, what was the journey like for you in dealing with everything as the expansion started widening?
Let me shock you and say fun. I mean, I'm no longer 38, 39. I'm sure your camera will pick that out. In fact, can I tell you? Can I allowed to tell you?
Yeah, you can.
I'm tomorrow, the 7th of June, yes. I was born in 1947.
Okay.
So you can work it out for yourself.
70 something.
78.
Wow.
But look, the point, the question really is what how do we get here and so on?
Yeah.
Well, I've just actually handled the sort of day-to-day baton onto my son, who is much better educated than I ever was, so that wouldn't be difficult. If he'd been to primary school, he would have been more educated than me. But anyway, he's done a very good job and is really superb. His name is Hugh. and he travels a great deal, and really he's got the thing in his hand now. So I'm sitting very much as the old man, and I find life much more difficult now than I did during those years you've asked me about. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And do you know, I don't understand people why it is that more people who've picked up a trade, that's all I did, is I picked up a trade of how to make things happen in terms of fruit.
Yeah.
But I could be a cobbler, somebody who understands how to put together leather and make fantastic food, shoe industry in Ghana. Or I could be a person, you know, who works with rubber or the pharmaceuticals. Why more people don't come here and actually offer their services? It's nothing to do with telling. You've got to do listening. Listen to the Ghanaians, listen to what's needed, and then really enjoy working with them. That's what we do. We have a joint effort enterprise, is what our business model is called. We work together. Oh my God, it was huge fun. Huge fun. I haven't got pockets full of gold. I walk here from my home. It's about 2 kilometers away.
Right.
I don't have a car. I don't believe in, you know.
So you've always walked, not driven?
Yeah. And maybe it's part of the reason why I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But it is a fact that, I'm sometimes going to Accra. I might take a taxi or I take a car from here. But I don't have my own. You know, that's what I'm trying to say to you. I don't have a big Lamborghini.
The luxury thing, the Land Cruisers and all that.
Because actually, what I think the Ghanaian future needs, dare I say it, is actually people who are prepared to commit themselves to help. Not to tell, not to say, you do this, you do that. No, we actually say, can I make a suggestion? Should we, what do you think? You know, and actually the idea is pour out. You've just actually got to put that little figure in there and away it goes. And I think from there onwards, you just enjoy it. I mean, oh my God, I don't know how many times a day I laugh when I come to Ghana, because humor here is amazing. And you know, you don't need alcohol. You don't need to have cannabis. You don't need to have whatever else people take, you know, to make them excited. You just need a little bit of Ghanaian humor, and you are off.
But I'm interested in how you've been able to run the company with. People say that Ghanaian workers, it's very difficult to get them to do the work.
Who the hell says that?
Well, that's what they say. So how did you get it right? What's been your secret?
Everybody else that. Go and ask Alistair what that. I have no idea what you're talking about, because they're the most willing, can do, let's go, wow, this is great people I've ever known. So I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah.
You've got to have trust.
Okay.
And you've got to let people make mistakes. And you don't say, like people used to do, okay, go make one mistake, then I'll tell you what to do. No, you go make another mistake, then make another mistake, and then another. Make as many mistakes. I don't make it. You know, just get on, and then you'll come and tell me how I should be doing it, or how we should be doing it together. It's not the people. What it is, I think, are those unexpected things. If I can if I can mention one other word apart from sand stealing, it has to be that awful word beginning with C.
Corruption.
You said it.
I've said it for you.
Yes, thank you.
So you think the main problem here is corruption, but not really with the personnel and the Ghanaian?
No way. I mean, you show me one corrupt person in our business. I mean, I think as people rise up, they have the risk of it. But no, corruption is our problem. I mean, yeah, it is. It's. I don't know how many times, but my experts around me will tell. But I think there's something like 26 points at which they relieve you of money when you're bringing mango. And we've just brought the last mango down from
26 points.
I think so, about 26. I mean, I'm looking around. 20. Is that right? 26. I'm
26.
told. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just that you come to a barrier.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Yes, you've got your mango.
Yeah.
Out you come with I don't know what, but it's you double the price of the mango coming in, because the mango grows here in Ghana, but only for a few weeks of the year. The rest of the time you're going to Senegal, Burkina, Mali,
South Africa,
Togo.
all that.
Yeah, but West Africa's got a lot.
Yeah.
And when you bring stuff in by road, but you're going through the police points. It's not just in Ghana. Don't think it's just gone in. It's endemic.
How do we deal with it?
Simple. Now this government, huge respect for John Mahama, huge respect. I think he actually opened the factory there, our ice cream and juice factory.
Mm-hmm.
He opened it exactly 10 years ago on the 3rd of June. He is a most remarkable guy. And yeah, I think he's got the right idea. So it's no reflection on him when I say actually that I think the condemnation of corruption has to come from the top.
Okay.
A zero tolerance. And there are people in the world who do it. By the way, there's corruption everywhere. Don't think.
Yeah.
In the country in which I was born, there's corruption. There's corruption everywhere. But it's actually when you have it on a sort of industrial. It's
become a huge part of it becomes a problem. Part of the society.
So it should not be there. And I think, if you sort out the agricultural asset we have, the sand stealers, I'll give you 1,000 points. But I'll give you a few points, certainly, if you can get the message across that corruption, please, can we stop it?
Okay. So from the top, they have to have a grip of it to stop corruption.
Yeah.
Right. What does the future hold for Blue Skies?
Okay, so the CD is nice and strong at the moment. Well done, the government, for doing it. But
they say exporters are the losers with the CD doing well. Is that true?
Of course it is. Yeah. Of course it is. I mean, the importers are the winners. And fair enough. We've had it our way for a while.
Yeah.
The CD's been very, very weak, and that exchange rate advantage does give you a boost. But it's a pretty awful company that relies entirely on the exchange rate.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think look, I think inflation's about 18%.
Yeah, 18, yeah.
21, 22 a few days before. Excuse me. I think it's very difficult to pay 18% for things and then have less hard currency coming back than you would like in order to pay for it. Because when you translate it into cedis, you don't have enough.
Yeah.
It's hurting. I don't deny that. It's hurting. I know that the president, because I heard him speak on Tuesday actually, recognises this. And he reckons that somewhere between 10 and 12 could balance out.
Yeah.
But what he didn't add, and I'd like to add, is that I wouldn't mind having inflation down at 1 or 2.
So to go back at more, 15 should be good, or 10?
No, I'd like it low. I mean, if you've really got the currency down there, there's 3 things you need. You need the currency down there.
Yeah.
You need inflation down there, and you need the economy actually to be running up nicely, which it hasn't done always.
Yes.
And I put it tactfully like that. It hasn't done, and actually, if the economy is going really well, and you've got a low inflation, and you've got an exchange rate that is sort of fairly balanced, okay,
you'll be fine.
Then everybody's going to be happy. Importers, exporters, etc. But with the difficulty we have at the moment, honestly, 18% is high inflation.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which way. When you have a CD that's absolutely, not moving anywhere at all.
Yeah.
If the inflation is 18% and the CD
appreciates or
depreciates by 18%, then everybody's happy. That's what it amounts to. And actually, that's where it has been a number of years during our growth.
Okay. So finally, what should we expect from Blue Skies?
More of the same. More of the same. My biggest difficulty in terms of expansion is, look, we were going to put about 20, maybe 15 million pounds into a site that's just 15 kilometres up the road near Suhum.
Okay.
This side of Suhum, on a little river called the Kua River.
Okay.
And we bought some land there some years ago now, and we were going to put our factory there. We would have probably started doing it now, but the sand stealers moved in. They kicked off 50 farmers who were there. They removed all our trees. They removed all the topsoil, so about a metre of topsoil.
Wow.
They got down to the sand, they took all the sand, and they've left the Sahara, an extension of the Sahara. So we can't go there now. So that we've got to overcome that. So we've actually, if you look around this site now, you'll find it's fairly squashed.
Yeah.
We've squeezed in another facility here, but we can't actually do the big stuff at the moment until we sort out somewhere to go. That's one of my problems. The other one is that bring back Ghana Airways. We need more airlines flying out of here.
To move
the lovely thing about our fresh cut product is it's absolutely fresh.
Yeah.
We'll deliver it to Carrefour in France, or Monoprix in France, or someone like Albert Heijn in Holland, Marks and Spencer in the UK. By the way, thank you, Ghana. We have the largest share of the fruit market in the UK.
Wow.
Thank you, Ghana. Well done, Ghana. Number one, right at the top. What an achievement. Can I hear that? I would love to hear the media talk about that.
We will.
But anyway, the thing is that if we're going to go on growing, we need to have more airlines.
So we should bring back the national airline.
Yeah, bring back the national airline and let us have 10 tons, 15 tons a night on there. Because we've run out of airlines. We've run out of space to get it north. Virgin were going to come, and now I don't know whether they're going to come or not going to come, but they're getting shakes their head. I hope they're going to come.
Okay.
But they will help. But we also need not just Virgin, we need more capacity. We're growing at 10, 15, sometimes 20% a year.
Wow.
People want it. You know, they've stopped eating, I know we haven't here, but we've stopped eating rabbits and cows and chickens and things. We all eat them like mad here.
Yeah.
But actually in the UK and throughout Europe, either they think that it's bad for the environment or bad for their health, or actually they just don't like killing things, all that blood. And I tell them that fruit doesn't bleed, and they say, oh right, okay, well we'll bring it in.
Bring them in.
But we'll have more of that lovely fruit from Ghana.
Right. Thank you so much, Anthony Powell, founder of Blue Skies. Very, very interesting, inspiring story. But there are huge challenges in the industry that we have to look at. Sun winning, he says no, sun theft, which I believe should be the new name. And we know government is listening to this and hope that there is change, or there is some amount of policy that will stop all the issues around agriculture that is destroying the scaling up and production of our future, which is agriculture. Remember, it's an exciting month. This month, our topics are evolving around 4 key topics. We have the personal finance, we have SMEs, we have the technology, and then agriculture. So also remember, for this month, we have something new and exciting. We have the Agri Fair from June 20 to June 22nd at the A4 Sutherland Park. Come there if you're in the industry. You can be an exhibitor, you can take part in meeting people, networking, among others.
Asilwela ukunqoba kuphela, kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze.
Sekunjalo.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensah.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensah.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
asilwela ukunqoba kuphela kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze.
Sekunjalo.
Welcome back. You're still live on Breakfast Daily right here on Channel 1 Television, and we are glad that you still stay with us. Join us on the conversations we'll be having this morning, because we'll be coming to a community near you. Send us a WhatsApp message on the WhatsApp number 020-444-7033, or you can also send a message onto the YouTube channel. Go onto our YouTube, look for us at Channel 1 TVGH, and then leave a comment in the comment section down there. We are streaming live, and if you're sending a message via X as well, do make sure you use the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Now, Philip, over the weekend we saw some heavy rainfall. Even last night, as late as 10 p.m., it was still raining quite heavily in my part of town. I live in Buche, so it was raining. Well, yeah.
Lakeside.
Yeah, it was raining. It rained quite heavy there. Yeah. I don't know about your side.
Same in my area around Ablikuma. It's also raining heavily there, but we've been battling with it for a very long time in the Greater Accra region. But what happened over the weekend? We were shocked that Takoradi was also bearing the brunt of the rainfall. It's
interesting.
Flood.
We've seen rainfalls. We've seen downpours, very heavy and all of that. But most times when it happens, we hear parts of Accra being flooded because Accra is overpopulated. There's a lot of choked gutters and whatnot. But Takoradi, it's quite
And unfortunately, there was one death recorded at around Kaswa. I think it's a Millennium City or something. Somebody unfortunately landed in a storm drain that was under construction, and the person lost his life. Sad one there. But let's bring you the videos of what happened in Takoradi and also part of the Volta region, because it was very scary. The water was moving into people's homes, on the streets and all that. It was just scary. If you can have those videos on the screen, we would just have a conversation on that. We can speak to our correspondent who mans the Western region for us as well. It was very scary that at least we were thinking that if Accra is really bearing the brunt of these things, we don't know why the Western region, specifically Takoradi, was going to have an issue like that. So let's bring you that video and we have a conversation on that.
What's some ways to Takoradi day? I went in my sample to the bone share. I am ma. Callum ba. One share is the hospital. One share is the hospital in Alaya ma. One hospital inside war. Away in Alaya ma. Yeah, Razi. Hey. Ma got to me in Alafaka. One share. Yeah, I in Alaya ma. It's the hospital in Ayam. I went to the hospital. Why am I? Hey. What's that? I'm going to say, I'm going to say, I told her it's not going to 2 pails of 4. No, it's not for so. Before I am more assassin, what had they? I mean, copy the one. Hey, it's not the mask, no. What's that? Inside? I think the word lights, and they will say, hey, she, what's that? Miss my way in Alaya, ma. Hey, yellow bro. If he overhead now, I had a got a sleep party, cheery. Got a snare, ma. Monsieur Robia, any day, one share. I yell from Paul Grace, the hospital. No, Musimo. I yell from him, no, what any day. I yell from no, what in the morning. One conditioning now, one in green and Suruko. I am so. I is you. Yo. Oh, I'm more to get a gat to wash. It's the high nan wayma. Che, it's the hospital. High na ma. Hey, wayma. Okay, inside here.
So people, this is Takoradi live in Volta region. This rain started since 2:30. You could see the cars are not moving. They can't move. This is live in Takoradi right now. So people, this is Takoradi live in Volta region. This rain started since 2:30. You could see the cars are not moving. They can't move. This is live in Takoradi right now.
Right, so those are some scenes from Takoradi as well as Takoradi Bogame in the Volta region. You've seen on your screens as a result of the downpour, that happened on Saturday and even yesterday. Very, very sad one there. Philip, my concern or my question was from Takoradi, because the Takoradi that I know is not a densely populated town. It's a very small area with, and Volta region is noted to be one of the cleanest cities in Ghana. So I don't know how that happened, whether if it was as a result of choked gutters or not. But
probably, maybe, and also climate change as well, and a couple of issues. But let's speak to our Western Regional correspondent, Akwesi Enim, who is in the Western region. We're speaking to him concerning the Takoradi flooding there. Good morning, Akwesi.
Hi, Philip. Good morning.
First of all, I want to find out from you, what's the name of the hospital?
This is SDA Hospital.
SDA Hospital. Has any incident of this nature happened there before?
Well, Philip, what I can tell you is that what happened on Saturday around that area is not the first time. In fact, that place, whenever it rains heavily, that is the SDA, the actual place is called Sego, or Sego Lane. And this hospital sits just on the edge of a major sewage system. In fact, it was allegedly blamed for basically building on the sewage. And initially, I mean, years past when it happened, 2019, it was massive. A lot of people within the catchment had their houses and, rooms flooded. And the hospital was actually blamed for causing it because of how it is positioned on the sewage. So whenever it rains heavily in Takoradi, that place usually suffers that flooding situation. But generally...
I was about asking if you know this since 2019, no solution?
Yeah.
That is, this is an already developed area.
Wow.
It is not one of the newly developing areas. It's been there. The area is been developed. Except that structure was not in the form that it is now. It's now bigger and might develop, serving a very crucial service. But it's also been blamed for creating the mess that we see there. But beyond that, the very gutter we are talking about, usually get choked. And whenever it is not removed, it is not emptied prior to the rains, it gets to this point. But the architecture of the area, or should I say the engineering of the area, is such that whenever it rains heavily, the place becomes stagnant with water, and it moves into people's apartments. And so that has been the trend over there. But I must say, last Saturday's rainfall across the metropolis was very heavy. And so low areas of the metropolis all had this kind of, stagnant water developing into flood. And so you had several places that actually suffered this flood. But hours after the rains, all the water actually receded. And so we were lucky we didn't record any body person, except for people who actually had this water, entering their rooms. In fact, places like in Tankofu, they had the same thing. Around Takoradi Technical University, we had places also getting flooded, and many other places also getting flooded. So the level of the rainfall also contributed to many low areas of Sekeni Takoradi actually experiencing a wide stretch of flooding.
Now, Akwesi, you mentioned that this is not the first time this area has experienced this, especially the hospital. Now, my concern is for a hospital to be situated on a sewage or on, I don't know if it's a waterway, and since 2019, what assessment has been done about it? Because as time goes by, the population of the area would increase, and we can't afford to be having issues like this reoccur. Now, when the rains got, when the hospital area got flooded, what happened to the patients who were admitted in the hospital?
They usually have to move them from the ground floor. This is about 3-story structure, also 2 or 3-story structure. And whenever it rains, they basically all the rooms down floor gets flooded, and so nothing could happen. So when the water starts going up, they begin to move patients to the next floor, and that has been the trend. I mean, it is very, very much, no news in that area. I mean, that hospital getting flooded whenever it rains a little.
Wow. But has there been any assessment by the local authorities to see how we can curb this issue?
The last time it rained, we were there to report. As usual, the authorities will come in, tell you they are going to assess it, but nothing actually gets, done. As I told you, the last time we experienced this heavy rainfall, we had places like Injesia community, which is basically on a hillside, even experiencing what they call it, a landslide. Several structures on on the hillside of the area came down, and it killed, a whole family. You record about 7 people dying. And right after that, the NADMO and the city authorities said they were going to do a search on places that should be due for demolition. As I tell you, as I speak to you, we haven't seen that demolition taking place, and people are still, residing around that area, which is a slopey area with several structures on the hillside. And so we are basically always, waiting for incidents to happen before we start, reacting to it with the usual firefighting approach.
Now, Akwesi, if I were living in this area, I would be very concerned about my safety as well as my home getting flooded and the authorities looking and not doing anything about it. Have you been able to speak with some of the people living in the area, and what have been some of their concerns they've shared with you?
Well, for them moving out of that place is going to be a challenge for them. That's a challenge they are saying. This is a structure. In fact, if you are aware of the 3-tier Kwame Nkrumah interchange that has been constructed at the airport runabout, or the old PTC runabout, this is just about 3 houses. The hospital is just about 3 houses away from the interchange. So it is really at the heart of the city. Right. And this is a very well-developed area, and people will tell you they don't have any other place to go, but they think the sewage must be taken a second look at. That is what they will tell you.
Wow. I would say thank you so much for your time, and keep monitoring events for us there. That is our Western Regional correspondent bringing us up to speed what happened in Takoradi over the weekend when there was a downpour. But if you know that the hospital there is the one creating the problem, maybe something could be done about it. To wait, and NADMO will be doing lip service. The authorities will go there lip service. The MC then will go there lip service. The MP, what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for a bigger disaster there when we know that we know the problem, we know the solution to the problem, and we are just sitting there aloof waiting for a bigger one to happen? We say, oh, we've lost 1 life, we've lost 2 lives. And some of the wards at the hospital, you know that not everyone can be moved upstairs. Oh, let's do the right thing. We know what you're supposed to do.
I think by now they are so used to the situation that they are always prepared when the cloud starts forming, and then they know what to do or how to go about it. But I don't think that's the right thing to do, because with time, the structural integrity of the building would not be okay.
The building
it will get to a point in time that the building cannot withstand it anymore. So I don't know how the authorities are looking unconcerned or looking as though it's okay when the rains come down and the water recedes, everything goes back to normalcy. And then the dry season, we don't see this. But when another rainy season comes and
we are
then...
scared.
I mean...
Anyway, from what Akwesi just told us, it looks like it's something that happens there every time there is a downpour. So it looks like it's just something. But this present story, the very troubling one that happened at Laura SHS, 10 people getting drowned and 7 have died. 3 were rescued. This is the story that happened over the weekend, and let me read verbatim. The search operation for the missing students of Laura Senior High School has officially ended, and the final 2 bodies were recovered early Sunday morning, bringing the death toll to 7. The local authorities confirmed that the last 2 bodies were found at the Wood River, about 2 kilometers downstream of the Dikpe River, where the tragic incident occurred on Saturday. This marks the conclusion of a nearly 24-hour recovery effort following the canoe disaster. And the canoe disaster in there were students. And this is a very sad issue. We've always been talking about crossing river body with life jackets, but we really don't know what may have entered the heads of these students to say that, okay, let's cross this Black River, and you weren't having life jackets, nothing, and you crossed it, and 3 individuals or 3 students lost their lives.
Again, it's a clear case of what's the name, negligence, or better still, something they've done over the period.
So they are used to it. Anyway, let's speak to our correspondent, Martina, who is monitoring this story for us. Martina, good morning.
Good morning, Philip.
I trust you are doing well.
I'm fine, and you?
What have you picked up from the school, the Laura School? Is it something that these students have been doing for a very long time, or is it a one-off thing that led to this casualty we've recorded?
Actually, the students do take their morning jogging every Saturday, and per my checks, they were cadet students who went on their usual jogging, and the route they take isn't the route they went to the Dikpe Bridge. So on Saturday, they were 15 in number, and then they went for their jogging, early morning jogging as usual. So when they got to town, some decided that they should go to the Dikpe Bridge and cross to the other side, that's Burkina Faso. So they were exploring the town. So 5 of them disagreed, and then the 10 agreed that they should go. So they went, and upon getting to the riverside, there was this man who crossed from the other side, that's Burkina Faso, to Ghana with a canoe. And per sources, the canoe can only take 6 passengers, maximum is 6 passengers, not more than 6. So, and they were also 10 in number. So they decided that they will manage sit on the boat, cross to the other side, and come back. So when they sat on the boat and they were going, when they got to the middle of the river, it also rained on the Friday night. So the water increased, and then the winds on the river became so strong that the weight which was on the weight it carried made them capsize. And that some of them don't know how to swim, like they don't know how to swim in rivers. So the others panicked and quickly jumped out of the boat, and then that made them capsize. And the situation was there were no life jackets for these students to put on. Even not only the students, but crossing the passengers crossing the bridge and the river usually don't have life jackets to wear, so they didn't have life jackets too. So unfortunately, 7 drowned, and they were able to bring out 5, and the remaining the 2. But the 2 were from the community were able to manage and swim out of the river.
All right, Martina, thank you so much. I will be coming to you maybe later to get some more updates if there are any on this particular story. Philip, that's a rather sad one there. That students decide to cross a river without taking any safety measures or any safety precautions. And I mean, I don't know what they were thinking to think that you've been told clearly that we can't take 10 and you want to go by all means to explore. Anyway,
they are so rest in perfect
exactly,
peace.
and our condolences to the families who've lost these loved ones. Right, it's time for us to take our City Business Festival on air series for this morning, as Bernard Avles sits with his host, his guest, to discuss basic legal education for SMEs. So do join us right about now.
Welcome to another week of your on-air series for the City Business Festival 2025. This week we're focused on small and medium-sized enterprises, known as SMEs. We're talking about finance. Today we're talking law. We're asking what basic legal things you need to know in starting your company, registering your company, licensing your company, raising capital, and becoming prosperous. I have a very interesting guest who will be helping us appreciate these matters. Don't forget, the on-air series for Business Festival for 2025 is brought to you by Absa Bank, MTN, and Zonda Tech. Stay with us.
She's coming. She's coming.
Oh, it's in.
Red Hour receipt now!
Boss, let's go back.
Hey, here, take this.
She's coming.
I know. Go to the pharmacy now.
She's coming. Oh.
Pay faster, pay safer, and pay easy with Momo app. Download now and pay with the QR code, merchant ID, and so much more.
Welcome back. So today we're discussing law, and therefore I've brought a lawyer, a private legal practitioner who runs LNF Legal Advisors, Jonathan K. Amabla is my guest. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
Wonderful. So what are you, a lawyer who does business or a businessman who does law?
I am a lawyer at the intersection of law, business, and finance.
I like this.
Yeah.
So law, business, and finance.
Yes. There's a great man, Nigel Boardman. He's a celebrated English lawyer. He said that the forces of capitalism depend on corporate law.
I like that.
And development is moved by corporate law.
Mm.
If you want to develop a country, grow economy, you need your corporate law to work. So if you are in the corporate space, the transactional space, you are standing at the intersection between law and how law is enabling business so that individuals can prosper, companies can prosper,
I like
and
that.
the country can prosper.
Because corporate finance will not work without corporate law.
Exactly.
It works in the rules. So today we're talking about small business. And just to be, in the work you do you come across small business a lot?
Yes. Ghana, we normally say that small and medium-scale enterprises are the backbone of our economy. Most of our companies are small and medium-scale enterprises. In fact, the Companies Act regulations have been published under the Companies Act, which are the company regulations, and they provide the Office of the Registrar of Companies with a guide to determine how to know whether a company is small, medium, or large. So according to that guide, if your revenue, your annual revenue is up to 400,000, or you have assets worth up to 400,000, you are a small company. If you have more than 400,000 but less than 10 million, you are a medium company. So in terms of revenue or assets, and if you're above 10 million, then you're a large company. So if we look at companies in Ghana, we can be able to see where most of them fall, and small and medium.
To help us do this, maybe if you can structure the conversation around the various stages of a business. ideation and creation, licensing, I think registration, raising capital, and then, of course, succeeding and deciding to exit, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me, in terms of the ideation side, the creation of a business, are there any specific things we need to know legally to help us?
Yes, I would say that it usually depends on what you set to achieve. Correct. And what you are doing. The legal forms that we have, really, we have sole proprietorships, okay, which are essentially not incorporated entities, right? So those are typically your mom and pop shops and small ventures. Then you have partnerships where a number of people come together to decide to, work together as partners. And then you have companies. Now, a client came to me, she wanted advice, and she had already set up her entity, but when she gave me a contract because she wanted me to review, and she's doing very serious business, and she was set up as a sole proprietorship. So I said, why did you do that? She said, oh, she doesn't really know. Like, it's just happened. And I said, no, because if you're doing serious business, you should know that business goes together with risk. Now, the concept of the company is that the company has been created in order to hedge risk. If you are working as a sole proprietorship, it means that your personal assets are exposed because there's no separate personality. If you are working as a partnership, not only are your personal assets exposed for your own liabilities, but you are even liable for the faults of your partners.
Merci.
So as a partnership, where your partner undertakes a venture or something and there's a liability, all the partners are responsible. So with these kinds of structures, you typically have unlimited liability. But a company is really where, if you're doing serious business and you want to hedge that risk, you would typically use a company. So apart from certain professionals, like let's say lawyers, accountants, other professionals, we are in professions where by our rules, we need to have unlimited liability. So it would either be partnerships or sole proprietorships, or if we incorporate companies, the companies will be unlimited companies. Otherwise, you'll be a limited company and you'll be private or you'll be public, depending on the number of shareholders that you have.
I see.
So I would say that if you are doing serious business, you should really be going for the structure, which is the company, and have a limited liability company, unless, of course, by your professional rules, you need to be an unlimited
in sharing
company.
the risk and going what you call limited liability, do you need then other people to be shareholders? Or the fact that you've created an entity called a company is enough to hedge you?
Yes, so the fact that you've created a company is enough. We say we have what we call the separate legal personality principle when it comes to companies, which is that once you have a company, the company is separate from its shareholders. So whatever the company is undertaking in terms of business, it's only the company, it's only the company's assets. And your liability as a shareholder is only to the extent that you have not fully paid for your shares. So you can incorporate a company in Ghana by our rules. You can have only a company with only one shareholder.
Okay.
Okay, and but that company must have at least 2 directors. So that one shareholder, in terms of his capital, he can also have incorporated the company by fully paying the amount that he has committed to pay at the beginning, or he can decide that he will pay later. So capital can be fully paid up at the beginning, or it can be a liability and subject to call. So as a shareholder, you're only liable to the extent that you've not fully paid on your capital.
So beyond the incorporation conversation, is that so the registration and incorporation is the same, right?
Yes. So I mean, it depends, because for instance, if you are a sole proprietorship, you will be registered, because the incorporation really goes with the fact that you are creating some kind of personality. Partnerships are also registered, but then companies are incorporated. And even with companies, if you are an external company, let's say there's a company is operating outside, it wants to have a branch, what we call a branch company in Ghana, it will register as an external company.
I see. So those are the basics when of the Office of the Registrar of Businesses.
Registrar of Companies,
That's what's done.
Yes.
What about things like business operating permit? So for example, you go to a barber shop, you notice they display a few things. So even though they're registered, there's something to do with the assembly and stuff. Is that also done at the level of the Registrar of Companies, or these are local matters?
Well, so now, due to changes that have been made, you can actually apply for your business operating permit simultaneously with your incorporation application.
Okay.
But if you have it already, you can say you have it already, or if you will do it subsequently, you have that option. But these are post-incorporation matters. So the incorporation stage is really you're incorporating either one shareholder, at least 2 directors, your secretary, okay, your auditors. You have all that information. You form a company, and then once the company is formed, then the next stage would be registration or licenses. Now, if you are in a regulated space, that is the point that you now go to your regulator and get your licenses. If you're not in a regulated space, there are the general ones which would apply anyway. One of them is what you've mentioned, which is the business operating permit, because under our Local Governance Act, companies are required to register with the various MMDAs under which they are operating.
Correct.
So if you have a company, that company has several branches, it means for each of these branches, you must get a business operating permit from the relevant MMDA. That goes with paying of a levy, okay? So you get that, so that's for the local governance side. Then you typically also be operating from a building. That building, you need to get a fire certificate for the building, okay? You typically also need to get your commercial insurance for the building, so you do that as well. In this day and age where a lot of us are processing personal data, it means that you need to go to the Data Protection Commission.
Oh my God.
You need to register and get the registration from the Data Protection Commission. So, and then you have employees. You need to register for SNIT.
Wow.
Then you know that our compulsory pensions are in 2 tiers.
Have you started making money?
Yes, you haven't started making money.
I'm just thinking about, Charlie, I mean, this is a lot.
You haven't started making money.
I haven't even started selling anything.
This is from day one.
Hey.
This is from day one, you know. Then you need to go and make sure that you've registered with SNIT and your tier 2.
That's if I have employees.
Yeah, if you have employees. Even if you don't have employees, they'll tell you if it's just you.
Yeah, of course, that's simpler, right, for myself.
And then, you know, nowadays we've fused the process of getting tax registrations with the incorporation. So once you're incorporated,
that makes it easier.
You get a tin for
that's
your
very
company.
important.
Yes, but then again, also if you are going to be having revenue of about 200,000 or more, then you know that VAT is also going to come in. So then you need to go and register for VAT as well. So these are the regulatory webs that are coming up, and that makes business a bit tough.
Especially when we say people should formalize. Now you're telling me to do all this. Now, let me give you an example. So let's assume I'm even going to do food, maybe yogurt, that I'm putting in a bottle. I may need to get FDA.
You definitely need to get FDA.
Right? So I've done sole proprietorship for this yogurt business, and then I have gotten a business operating permit on the side. I'm working with maybe 2 people. So I probably register them for SNIT. My local authority gives me the BPO, or BOP.
Yeah.
Now I have to go to FDA.
Yes.
To give me a license to handle food.
Yes, and going to FDA will not be, and this is, the more complex areas are the ones, the places, the companies that are operating within regulated spaces. Because if you go to FDA, for instance, FDA is going to now run you through a longer list of things. Sometimes they may say, you can't even come as a sole proprietorship, come as a company. Then now you need to do certain things. You need to get a food hygiene permit. You need to go through Environmental Protection Agency. So that list can become even longer, and that's the regulatory labyrinth that applies when you're doing business.
That's interesting. And we haven't started making money yet.
You haven't started making money.
Whoa. So at what point does corporate governance come in?
So I would say will be the 3rd step, right?
Okay.
You've got your company or your business setup. You've now got your licenses. Then now, corporate governance really is about the systems that you put in place to ensure that the company is complying with the requisite legal and other standards that it needs to comply with. So under corporate governance, you would have what we call ongoing compliance obligations. Okay, and that is where the path can get even steeper for SMEs, because then it comes with obligations, whether it's quarterly filings, monthly filings at SNIT, monthly filings at GRA, yearly filings, you know, with the Office of the Registrar of Companies, okay? And this is in respect of the annual returns. I saw last week that the Office of the Registrar of Companies have issued some statement to say that June is the deadline for filing of. So if you're a company,
June 30th.
Yes, if you're a company, you need to file your annual returns every year. And if you are a business, so let's say you are a registered business, you need to renew. So when it comes to these sole proprietorships, they need to renew their business registration every year. But when it comes to the companies, they need to do the, what do you call that? They need to do the annual returns. So you have all these kinds of obligations that come in for an ongoing basis. And from last year, there's been what the economist calls an anti-red tape revolution. Which they say that all around the world, especially because of the economic turmoil that we've been going in, countries are focusing on growth.
Yes.
We need economic growth. And what is pulling back in economic growth? A lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy.
Oh, I mean, I'm even discouraged. I want to start a company, but the way you're talking,
a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy flow from Trump and his Department of Government Efficiency to Milley to Modi in India. You see a lot of people, the EU promised to cut down on regulation by about 25%.
Very important.
We are kind of seeing something like that in Ghana.
Okay.
So the ORC, under the regulations, okay, they have created certain exemptions. So for instance, for small and medium companies, they don't need to file annual returns anymore.
Okay.
And this is something that is probably not being
spoken about a
highlighted
lot, yes.
enough, okay, that small and medium companies don't need to file annual returns. They just need to send a statement to the ORC to confirm that the information that you have is accurate. Because really, this business of filing annual returns and things like that is really just a way for the regulators to have up-to-date information about the businesses, okay? And it is a bother. It takes a lot of administrative work to always have to provide this static information, especially when some of these things have not changed. So at least in relation to annual returns, small and medium companies don't have to do that. In relation to small companies, there's a requirement for having audited financial statements. Now, in relation to small companies, there's been a waiver that has been given so that small companies don't need to have annual financial statements that have been audited by auditors. Okay, they can have their financial statements, but they just need to get a report from their own internal auditor to confirm that that is fine. So at least we are seeing some respite there. Yeah.
Let me take a breather. This is a lot to take in. This is the City Business Festival on a series. This is our third week. We're talking about SMEs and the law. My guest is a legal practitioner who has a lot of things to share with us on the basics you need to know about law to run your company. Stay with us.
My name is Lydia Safwa. I'm from Safusco Ghana Limited. I'm the managing director for the company. I'll commend MasterCard Foundation and Absa Bank for the 10% loan for women-led businesses and agri-businesses, because this facility came in at the right time for Safusco. The facility helped us to get machinery for our detergent powder and other raw materials to help us come out with three products: the detergent powder, the African black soap, and the bleach. We were able to employ 15 youth in addition to our working force, and this has really helped boost our productivity and revenue as well. Annually, we organize the Global Hand Washing Day in schools within our vicinity. We hope to make sure that Safusco helps to combat diseases from the schools. We are trying to have volunteers within the school. Those volunteers will help make sure that the project is being sustained in the school.
Welcome back. This is your on-air series for City Business Festival 2025. Brought to you by Absa Bank, MTN, and Zonda Tech Ghana. My guest is a legal practitioner, Jonathan Keyamable of LNF.
Yeah.
Legal. It almost sounds like LBF, Law, Business, and Finance. This is LNF.
Yeah. This is Law and Finance.
Law and Finance.
Yes.
Amazing. We're talking about basic law for small businesses, creation, licensing, corporate governance. At what point do I think about intellectual property? So let's assume I'm creating something I'm in a creative space. Maybe I'm coming up with some proprietary technology I'm building an app, or I'm a fintech. Do I need to register that thing at some point? So even though I haven't started selling, because I have something I believe is so unique, what would you advise me to do at which stage should I start registering it as IP?
So, I mean, intellectual property is a lot of it, depending on what it is really contractual, right?
Okay.
So, for instance, since you've given creative space, we can talk about music.
Yeah.
I represent lawyers.
Yeah.
Stoneboy is one of my clients.
Yeah.
Right? What do you do when you are creating music and the music is going out there? How do you protect, for instance, your interest in the music? You need to make sure that you have your contracts with your producers, with your artists, with your label that clearly allocates who owns what.
Correct.
So that in terms of copyright, you don't need to register the copyright anywhere for the copyright to take effect. Okay, in terms of copyright law, once the thing has been created, the copyright exists. So you need a contractual framework to fix who owns it and to draw the lines clearly. When it comes to things like trademarks and patents, those are the ones that you need to go and register. So, for instance, your logos, your trademarks, patents, those ones after incorporation, after you are in business, you know, there's something worth protecting over there. So you go to the relevant office and then you get that registration done. But for copyrights, you just really need to focus on your documentation to make sure that you fix everything properly.
Let's talk about raising capital. So presumably most people who start a business have some money. But as the business begins to grow, you think about how to get more money. What do I need to do from a legal perspective?
So when it comes to raising capital, and that's an area that we really play in a lot, that is where you would actually see the relevance of corporate governance and some of these issues that we've been talking about. Okay. If you are raising capital, the people who are going to invest in you, if they are serious individuals or serious companies, they are going to want to at least do two things. They're going to do a financial due diligence on you, which is going to check your books, you know, check how much money you are making, see how viable the business is. Then you're going to do a legal due diligence on you. The legal due diligence is going to check what are the various regulatory obligations that you have. Are you meeting them? Because if you're not meeting them, there's probably a risk somewhere. There's a risk that your license may be revoked. There's a risk that your business may be shut down. And that obviously is going to hit the investor hard. Just before coming for this meeting, they were talking about the NCA's revocation of certain licenses for radio stations. One of the reasons that I heard being propagated was the lack of a fire certificate. So the compliance and the ongoing obligations, they are very important. So at the capital raising stage, two things that are important: making sure that your books are well prepared, that they give an accurate reflection of your accounts, of your cash flow, and then the legal side, which is making sure that all the regulatory issues that you have, okay, you are keeping good documentation, you are making sure that you are on top of all these things, and then your material business contracts and all of that, making sure that all your assets are properly protected. When you do this, any bank, whether it's going to be a debt financing or it's going to be equity investment, at least these things will be checked. And sometimes some of these things, if you have all of them, you know, done properly, it reduces the risk that is involved in investing in you. In Ghana, we have a problem which, you know, in terms of debt, because access to credit for the private sector is a really serious thing. And it seems like most SMEs feel shut out from the traditional banking system. I do a lot of work for venture capitals and private equity firms. And, you know, one thing that the DDEP did is that it really showed Ghana how risky we had been living, because everybody thought government securities were risk-free. Everybody was parking money there. After DDP, everybody woke up and said, hey, wait, the real sector of the economy needs money. They are the ones doing the work that will push us forward. They have tangible assets that we can grab, you know, in case there's a default. So now we are seeing a lot more interest in what they call the alternative asset classes, where pension funds and other entities are investing money in PE and VC companies. And these entities are in turn looking for companies. There's a lot of focus on the SME to give them debt, to give them equity. And these guys would definitely always check that at least all these legal requirements that you have, you've done them. If you've not done them, it's either going to reduce the money that's given to you, or it's going to lead to certain covenants and things that will put in the documentation to make sure that the investments are protected.
Wow. So a lot of the things you do from step 1 to step 3 are to enable step 4 be easy.
Exactly.
So even though initially you don't see why you are doing all this corporate governance stuff, if you need to raise money, people need to know that you are solid.
When it's time for you to raise money, that's when you see how you've missed out on an opportunity, because the legal due diligence, somebody has likened it to a colonoscopy. It can be so painful.
My God.
When the lawyers are requesting, where is this requirement, where is that requirement? And in Ghana, sometimes we can have a cavalier approach towards regulation. Oh, what is this? This thing is not necessary. Oh, you are big book long. But the day that the regulator holds you will realize that we really live in an ordered society. So making sure that the corporate governance and all these things are in check is very important.
You spoke about dissolution, and I'm not sure a lot of people think about that. In the Western world, usually people raise money, build companies, and sell. So there's a lot of legalese around dissolution. Here, people don't sell their companies generally. They want to die in their socks.
Yeah.
So is it even relevant for us?
It's relevant in the sense that at the end of the day, there are a lot of, look, when you go to even at the ORC, there are a lot of companies that are sitting on its books that are not running.
Yes.
And I think Ghanaians typically like to just leave the companies for dead. But the thing is that once you leave it going on like that, there are regulatory requirements and things that are racking up, and there are penalties and fines that are racking up. And as directors, you could be liable. So dissolution is very, very important. And the dissolution part of it is at the end of the day, how do we go about it? Do we make sure that you can at least have 2 steps? There's a step where we call dissolution without full winding up, okay, which is a less painful step. It doesn't need to go through appointment of liquidators. And then there's the dissolution with the full winding up. With that, you need to appoint liquidators. They're going to liquidate all the assets of the company, distribute everything, and then after that, you can exit. Most of the companies or most of the investors that think of exits, really, what they do is once they enter into the investment, there will be an agreement in place, where there's a shareholders agreement or something, who is going to spell out the terms. At the end of the day, okay, we can exit, for instance, by listing the company. Okay, so we float the shares, I sell, I'm out. Or we can exit by selling to other entities. So there's a lot of what we call mergers and acquisitions side of work. There's a lot of M&A activity where lots of companies are exiting, lots of investors are exiting, and new ones are replacing them. In this tough period that we've had with the economy, a lot of foreign investors, for instance, have exited their investments in Ghana. I went to an event, I met an investor. He said, look, our mother company has a policy. We cannot invest in a company where the country's credit rating is below a certain, rating. So once you have things like that, there's always always going to be people who will be exiting, and there will always be people who are looking to buy. So that is really what happens.
A lot of friends come to me and say they formed a company and they want somebody to be on the advisory board. They don't talk about a board. They just, what's the difference?
So that's actually a thing that I typically advise clients against, because in Ghana, our structure is that in terms of corporate governance, you have the management, then you have the board of directors, okay, and they report to shareholders. Now, the board of directors, that's supposed to be the seat of all the thinking, all the planning of the company. They are the ones supposed to take those high policy decisions. When you have these advisory boards, typically what they do is they act as a shadow board, and that is actually against our laws.
Is it?
Our laws actually have penalties for having shadow directors, because the directors must be independent, the directors must exercise their own judgment, must take full responsibility for whatever action is part of their fiduciary duties as directors. So whoever you are having as an advisory board really must just be somebody giving counsel, advice, and not somebody on whose decisions you are actually relying.
So advisory board could work for, say, an NGO, but for a company, you need a board, a proper board.
I mean, across the whole gamut, for NGOs, for any type of company, being a director comes with fiduciary duties. Those fiduciary duties mean that you are supposed to be the one at the helm of affairs.
Okay.
You are supposed to be the one who takes independent decisions on behalf of the company, acting in the way a reasonable person would, but also to the best of your abilities. So with this, there's a high duty that is placed on directors. And that high duty, directors should not be having things like advisory boards that are parallel structures running beside them to show them or on whose advice they are acting.
So a board is a board.
A board is a board. A board is a board. It's a full board, and that is the seat of corporate governance. If corporate governance will work well in Ghana, a lot of people would actually hesitate before taking on roles as directors, because being a director comes with such high duties, and the penalties are quite serious. In other countries, they are taken more seriously. In Ghana, we have the laws, and like I always say, whenever the law decides to hold you responsible, you realize that there's really not even much of a difference between an executive director and a non-executive director and things like that, because as a director of a company, you take full responsibility for the company. Your duties even extend all the way to the financial reporting of the company. In Ghana, a lot of people would leave that and say, oh, that's for the auditors or that's for the managing director. But when you look at our laws, even the financial reporting, that is why the directors are the ones who sign the financial statements of the company.
Wow.
So it's quite serious work. And to be a director, you must take it upon yourself to have at least a rudimentary understanding of the business of the company, a rudimentary understanding of the laws that govern the company's operations.
Final question. At what point do I need a lawyer? Beginning, middle, or end of the process?
So I tell you, I went for a mixer. It was a fintech mixer, and I met a CEO of a fintech company. So we introduced ourselves. She said, well, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a lawyer." He said, "Well, you lawyer, what are you doing at this fintech event?" I said, "Every business needs lawyers. You need lawyers at the establishment space. You need them at the licensing stage. You need them for corporate governance and ongoing regulatory compliance. And you need us for raising capital at the very least." He said, "It's true. I'm even at the Bank of Ghana. They have taken us on some issues." I said, "You see, this take my card. You really need me."
Quick.
And that's the point. We are useful at every stage. At LNF, we say that we are your trusted advisors at every stage of your corporate
Can a small
journey.
business afford a lawyer? At what point? Because large companies have lawyers. So somebody is there starting something. So are there legal firms that can help small SMEs?
Oh, yes. Ghana is largely SME run.
Okay.
So lawyers help SMEs all the time. If you are small, we will be with you. We'll help you
grow
to
with
grow.
us.
Yeah,
We'll take it like
but
that.
at the end of the day, we'll all benefit, and the country will be better.
LNF is where he works. His name is Jonathan Keamable. He writes sometimes, and we are really happy to talk to him. So thanks for watching today's edition of the Honor series, brought to you by Absa Bank, MTN, Business, and Zonda Technology. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
AgriFair 2025 is almost here. The much anticipated AgriFair 2025 is just around the corner, happening from the 20th to the 22nd of June at the A4 Sutherland Children's Park in Accra. Get ready for a fun, educative, and exciting experience as we bring together the very best in agriculture, food, innovation, and entertainment all in one place.